Communication is the skill that shapes your life, your career, and your relationships more than almost anything else. The way you speak, the way you listen, the way you guide a conversation, it all determines how people respond to you, how they trust you, and how they follow your ideas. Many people struggle to express themselves clearly or to be heard with respect, and that struggle can hold them back from opportunities, confidence, and meaningful connections. This audiobook is designed to change that. It will give you 10 practical, powerful ways to improve your communication skills so you can speak with confidence, lead conversations with respect, and leave a lasting impression wherever you go. You will learn how to listen deeply so people feel understood, how to organize your thoughts so your words land with clarity, and how to use your voice, tone, and presence to build trust. You'll discover how to control nervous habits, eliminate filler words, slow down your speech, and make every word count. You'll learn how to ask meaningful questions that spark dialogue and how to guide conversations without pushing or dominating. Every tip is backed by practical exercises you can start doing today. You'll feel the difference immediately, and your audience will feel it too. By the end of this audiobook, you won't just be talking, you'll be connecting. You won't just be participating, you'll be leading. You'll leave every conversation stronger, more confident, and more capable of inspiring understanding and action. This isn't about perfection, it's about consistent improvement, about building habits that make you a communicator people listen to, respect, and remember. Stay with this audiobook. Follow the tips step by step, and you'll transform the way you communicate in ways that will impact every part of your life. Every chapter is practical, actionable, and designed to make you feel more confident, more present, and more in control whenever you speak. Your journey to speaking like a leader starts here. Chapter 1. Master active listening to understand people with full attention. Most people believe that communication is about speaking well, using the right words, or being persuasive. But the truth is that communication begins with listening. When you give someone your full attention, you are not only hearing their words, you are giving them the gift of being seen, understood, and valued. Active listening is more than keeping quiet while another person speaks. It is an intentional effort to understand the meaning, emotions, and perspective behind their words. This single skill has the power to transform relationships, build influence, and make you a leader people trust. Listening with full attention is rare in today's world. Distractions are everywhere, phones buzzing, screens flashing, and our own thoughts racing. Most people are not truly listening when others speak. They are waiting for their turn to talk, forming a response in their head before the other person has even finished. This creates shallow conversations and missed opportunities for connection. If you want to speak like a leader, you must first learn to listen like one. Leadership is not about dominating conversations, it is about understanding people deeply and guiding them with clarity, and that begins with mastering active listening. Active listening means you are fully present. Your body language, your eyes, your posture, your silence, all send signals that you care about what is being said. It is a discipline of slowing down your mind, resisting the urge to interrupt, and focusing on the speaker as if nothing else exists in that moment. When you listen this way, people open up, they share more honestly, they trust you because they feel your attention. That trust becomes the foundation of every meaningful relationship, whether personal or professional. To master active listening, you must first control your own inner distractions. The human mind often wanders. You may be thinking of what you want to eat, your to-do list, or a past memory while someone is speaking. Discipline is required to set aside those thoughts and remain anchored in the present. It is not easy, but it is a practice that strengthens with time. Begin by noticing when your attention drifts. Bring it back gently to the person in front of you. Focus on their words, their tone, and their emotions. With practice, you will find your attention becoming sharper, and people will notice the difference. Another key to active listening is withholding judgment. Too often, we listen through the filter of our own opinions, biases, and assumptions. Instead of hearing what the other person is saying, we interpret their words through what we want to believe. To listen with full attention, you must set aside judgment and remain open. Seek to understand before deciding what you think. This does not mean you agree with everything said, but you give the person the respect of being heard fully before forming your response. That simple act creates respect and allows for genuine dialogue. Active listening also requires you to listen not only to the words, but to the emotions behind them. Words carry only part of the message. Tone, pace, and body language reveal the rest. A person may say, "I'm fine," but their voice may be trembling. They may speak quickly, as if hiding their true feelings. If you listen only to the words, you will miss what is really happening. If you listen with full attention, you can sense their emotions, and you can respond with empathy. Leaders who understand emotions are far more effective than those who only hear facts. In practical terms, mastering active listening involves a few essential behaviors. First, make eye contact. Eye contact signals presence, respect, and focus. It tells the other person that you are with them fully. Second, remove distractions. Put your phone away. Stop multitasking. Show that the person speaking is your priority. Third, respond with short acknowledgements like "I see" or "I understand" without interrupting the flow of their message. This shows you are following along without taking over the conversation. Fourth, ask clarifying questions once they finish speaking. Questions like, "Can you explain what you mean by that?" or "How did that make you feel?" show genuine interest and invite deeper conversation. Another practical step is to reflect back what you hear. This does not mean repeating their words like a machine. It means summarizing in your own words to show understanding. For example, if someone says they are frustrated with a project at work, you might respond, "It sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed with the workload." This reflection shows that you are not only hearing, but also processing their experience. It creates a bond of trust and shows empathy in action. Mastering active listening will also help you avoid one of the most common problems in communication: assumptions. Many conflicts arise not because of what was said, but because of what was assumed. When you listen carefully and ask clarifying questions, you remove misunderstandings before they grow into tension. Leaders who listen actively create harmony because they address the root of the issue, not just the surface. Think about the most respected people in your life. Chances are they made you feel heard. You may not remember everything they said, but you remember how they listened. You felt valued in their presence. That is the impact of active listening. It makes others feel important. It gives them dignity. When you make others feel important, they naturally respect and follow you. This is why active listening is a core leadership skill. It creates influence without force. You can practice this skill in small ways every day. When someone speaks to you, pause your thoughts and give them your full attention for even 1 minute. Resist the urge to finish their sentences or jump in with advice. Simply hear them. When you are in a group, notice who is speaking and give them your eyes and silence. When you are in conflict, listen to understand instead of preparing your defense. These small habits build into a powerful ability to connect with anyone. Active listening is not only about others, it also shapes your own character. By listening deeply, you train patience, you develop discipline, you cultivate humility, because you are putting others before yourself. These qualities strengthen your inner life. A person who listens well is calm, grounded, and respected. This is the kind of presence that makes a true leader. The practice of active listening also builds resilience. When you truly understand others, you handle challenges more effectively. You are not reacting blindly. You are responding with wisdom because you know the deeper needs and concerns involved. This ability to pause, hear fully, and then respond makes you steady under pressure. People around you feel safer because they know you will not dismiss or ignore them. They know you are present, and presence creates stability. One of the greatest tests of active listening comes during disagreement. Most people shut down or interrupt when they hear something they do not like, but a leader listens even when it is uncomfortable. If someone criticizes you, instead of defending yourself immediately, listen fully. There may be truth in their words, or at least truth in their feelings. By hearing them out, you gain insight and show strength. The ability to listen during conflict turns enemies into allies and prevents unnecessary battles. Another benefit of mastering this skill is that it sharpens your ability to communicate back. When you listen deeply, you gather not just facts, but also an understanding of the person's perspective. When it is your turn to speak, you can address their real concerns instead of guessing. This makes your words more powerful and relevant. You will notice that when you speak after listening well, your words carry more weight because people feel you have truly understood them. To keep improving in active listening, hold yourself accountable. After conversations, reflect on how well you paid attention. Did you interrupt? Did your mind wander? Did you really understand what the other person was trying to say? By reviewing your performance, you grow sharper with each interaction. Over time, you will notice that people open up more easily to you. They will share things with you that they do not share with others. That is the reward of listening with full attention. People trust you with their truth. In daily life, you can practice active listening everywhere. Listen to your children when they tell you stories. Listen to your partner when they share their day. Listen to your colleagues when they explain their challenges. Listen to strangers with curiosity. Each conversation becomes an opportunity to sharpen your skill and strengthen your character. This practice requires discipline, but it brings immense rewards in relationships, leadership, and personal growth. The Stoics taught that wisdom comes not from speaking much, but from observing and understanding. To listen is to discipline your ego. It is to say, in this moment, what you have to say matters more than what I want to say. That humility makes you wise. That patience makes you strong. Over time, mastering active listening will not only improve your communication skills, it will transform who you are as a person. You will become calmer, more empathetic, more respected, and more effective. If you want to speak like a leader, start by listening like one. Speak less and listen more. Understand before you respond. Pay attention fully. Give people the dignity of your silence and your presence. This is not weakness, it is strength. People will be drawn to you because they will feel safe, understood, and valued in your presence. And when it is your time to speak, they will listen because you first listened to them. The path to leadership is not built on louder words or stronger arguments, but on deeper understanding. Master active listening, and you master the foundation of influence. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to learn, to connect, and to lead. This skill will serve you not only in leadership, but in every relationship you will ever have. Start today by giving someone your full attention. Do not wait for the perfect moment. The person in front of you right now deserves to be heard. Practice with them, and you will discover that listening is not just a skill, it is a way of life that elevates everything you do. Chapter 2. Speak with clarity to deliver your message with impact. The strength of your voice is not measured by its volume, but by the clarity with which your message reaches the mind and heart of others. When you speak with clarity, you leave no room for confusion. You create confidence in your words, and you allow your listeners to feel guided rather than lost. Most people do not struggle with having something to say. They struggle with saying it in a way that makes sense and inspires trust. Clear communication is what separates those who simply talk from those who truly lead. Speaking with clarity requires discipline. It is not about sounding smart with complicated words or giving long explanations. In fact, it is the opposite. A leader has the ability to take even the most complex idea and present it in a way that anyone can understand. That skill does not come from talent alone. It comes from practice, preparation, and self-awareness. When you master clarity, your words cut through distractions, capture attention, and leave people remembering your message long after the conversation is over. The first step in developing clarity is organizing your thoughts before you speak. Too many people rush into talking without fully understanding what they want to say. This leads to scattered explanations, repeated phrases, and sentences that leave the listener confused. Take a brief pause before speaking to form a clear idea of your point. Ask yourself, what is the core message I want to deliver? What do I want the other person to take away? By starting with the end in mind, you reduce unnecessary words and sharpen your message. Another important part of speaking clearly is using simple language. Complexity does not make you sound wiser. It makes you harder to follow. People respect those who can simplify because simplicity creates understanding. Imagine explaining an idea to a child. If you can make it clear enough for a child to grasp, you can make it clear enough for anyone. Leaders never hide behind difficult words. They bring light to confusion. Speak in a way that feels natural and direct, and you will notice that people engage more easily with you. Clarity also comes from controlling the pace of your speech. Many people rush through their words, either because of nerves or impatience. When you speak too quickly, you overwhelm the listener and lose their attention. Slow down. Give space between your sentences. This not only helps others absorb your message, but also makes you appear more confident and in control. Silence, used wisely, can make your words stronger. A well-placed pause creates emphasis and allows your message to settle. The tone of your voice also plays a key role in clarity. If your voice is too soft, people may strain to hear you. If it is too harsh, they may tune out. Speak with steady energy, letting your tone reflect confidence and respect. Avoid monotone delivery, as it makes even important ideas sound dull. Instead, allow natural variations in your tone to highlight key points. Your tone should match your message. A serious subject deserves steady calmness, while an inspiring message benefits from passion and energy. To improve clarity, eliminate unnecessary filler words. Words like you know, and like weaken your speech and distract from your message. They signal hesitation instead of confidence. The best way to remove fillers is to practice intentional silence. When you feel the urge to fill a gap with meaningless sounds, take a short pause instead. That pause feels far more powerful than cluttering your message with words that add no value. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel to replace filler words with confident pauses. Clarity is also about structure. If you are explaining something, guide your listener step by step. Begin with the main point, then provide supporting details, and end with a clear conclusion. People remember beginnings and endings the most, so make them strong. Avoid jumping back and forth between ideas. Instead, create a logical flow that your listener can easily follow. Structure gives your message shape, and shape makes it memorable. Another element of clarity is knowing your audience. Speaking clearly is not only about how you deliver, but also about how you adapt to those listening. The way you explain an idea to a group of students will be different from how you explain it to experienced professionals. A leader pays attention to who is in front of them and adjusts accordingly. When your words match the needs of your audience, your message lands more effectively. Clarity also comes from confidence in your own knowledge. When you hesitate or doubt yourself, it shows in your speech. Listeners can sense uncertainty. Prepare yourself by deeply understanding what you want to communicate. The more familiar you are with your subject, the clearer you will sound. Confidence gives weight to your words, while uncertainty weakens them. Build your confidence by practicing your message, refining your knowledge, and speaking from experience rather than assumption. To strengthen your clarity, practice reading your own words aloud. Sometimes what looks clear on paper sounds complicated when spoken. By practicing out loud, you will notice which sentences feel heavy, which words are unnecessary, and which parts need more simplicity. This practice trains your ear and your mind to value clarity over complexity. It also builds rhythm in your speech, making your delivery smoother and more natural. Feedback is another valuable tool for developing clarity. Ask trusted people how your communication comes across. Do they understand your message? Do they find your explanations clear? Be open to honest feedback and use it to refine your skills. Leaders are not afraid of correction. They use it to grow stronger. The more you welcome feedback, the faster you will sharpen your ability to deliver messages with precision and power. Speaking with clarity is not just a technique. It is a way of respecting others. When you take the effort to express yourself clearly, you show that you value their time and attention. You remove the burden of confusion and make it easy for them to receive your message. People remember how you make them feel, and nothing feels better than being guided by someone who communicates with ease and purpose. The impact of clear communication is immense. It reduces conflict, prevents misunderstandings, and strengthens relationships. In professional settings, it leads to more effective teamwork, smoother negotiations, and stronger leadership. In personal life, it creates deeper connections and trust. Every area of life improves when clarity becomes a habit. People admire those who can speak with confidence, and they naturally follow those whose words are easy to trust. Developing this skill takes commitment. You must practice daily, even in small conversations. Take notice of how you speak at home, at work, and with strangers. Pay attention to the clarity of your sentences, the simplicity of your words, the pace of your speech, and the tone of your voice. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to refine your ability. Over time, these small efforts compound into a remarkable change in how others see you. True leaders are remembered not for how much they spoke, but for how clearly they spoke. Their words carried impact because they were simple, direct, and meaningful. If you want to be remembered for your communication, focus not on saying more but on saying better. Train yourself to bring clarity in every word, every pause, and every message you deliver. Speaking with clarity is a discipline of the mind and the heart. It requires you to think clearly, to respect your listener, and to care deeply about how your message is received. Once you master it, you will notice the power it brings to your presence. People will listen to you more carefully. They will respect your words more deeply, and most importantly, they will understand you clearly, which is the foundation of true leadership. When you commit to clarity, you rise above the noise of everyday chatter. You become the person others look to for guidance. Because your words carry meaning instead of confusion. You inspire confidence because your message is always strong, steady, and precise. Speaking with clarity is not just about communication, it is about leadership, influence, and the ability to shape the world around you. Chapter 3. Develop confidence by practicing your voice every single day. Confidence in your voice is one of the greatest tools you can ever build, because it not only strengthens how others see you, but also transforms how you see yourself. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you are sending a message about your inner strength, your belief in your own ideas, and the respect you carry for yourself. A hesitant, shaky voice communicates doubt, while a steady, strong voice communicates leadership. The good news is that confidence in your voice is not something you are born with. It is something you can practice and develop every single day until it becomes a natural part of who you are. Practicing your voice daily is like training a muscle. Just as physical strength comes from consistent exercise, vocal confidence comes from deliberate practice. The more you use your voice with intention, the more power, clarity, and control you gain over it. Many people feel nervous when speaking in front of others, not because they lack intelligence, but because they have not trained their voice to carry authority. You cannot expect confidence to appear magically in a moment of pressure. You must prepare for it long before that moment arrives. The first step in developing confidence is simply to speak out loud more often. Too many people live most of their days in silence, speaking only when required. They rarely practice projecting their voice, experimenting with tone, or strengthening their breathing. As a result, when they are called to speak in an important situation, they stumble. Make it a daily habit to use your voice intentionally. Read out loud, practice delivering ideas, and train yourself to hear and control your sound. The more familiar you become with your own voice, the less fear you will feel when others are listening. Breath control is essential for vocal strength. A weak voice often comes from shallow breathing. When you breathe only from your chest, your words lack power and stability. Train yourself to breathe from your diaphragm, the deeper part of your lungs. Place your hand on your stomach, take a deep breath, and feel it expand outward. Then speak while controlling that breath. This technique gives your voice a steady foundation and prevents it from trembling under pressure. With daily practice, your voice will sound fuller, stronger, and more confident. Volume is another area of practice. Confidence is not about shouting, but about speaking at a level that commands attention without strain. Too many people speak too softly, as if apologizing for taking up space. Others speak too loudly, trying to force authority. True confidence finds the balance in between. Stand tall, breathe deeply, and project your voice so that it fills the room naturally. Practice speaking to the farthest corner of a room, even if no one is there. This exercise trains you to own your space and send a signal of self-assurance. Articulation is equally important. When your words are mumbled or unclear, people struggle to understand you, and that weakens their confidence in your message. Practicing articulation daily makes your voice sharp and easy to follow. Simple exercises like tongue twisters, exaggerated pronunciation, and slow repetition of difficult words can help you develop precision in your speech. As you refine your articulation, your listeners will find your words more engaging, and you will feel a greater sense of authority when speaking. Tone is another powerful tool that requires daily practice. A monotone voice drains energy from even the most important message, while a voice with natural variation captures attention. Practice changing your tone to emphasize key points. Record yourself speaking and notice where your voice sounds flat. Then practice raising or lowering your pitch to create emphasis. This variation keeps your speech alive and communicates passion. A confident voice does not sound mechanical. It sounds human, dynamic, and alive. Daily practice should also involve reading aloud from powerful material. Choose texts that inspire you and read them with intention. Focus on pacing, tone, and emphasis. Pretend you are delivering those words to an audience. This exercise not only improves your vocal ability, but also builds mental confidence, because you are training yourself to speak words of strength and wisdom. Over time, you will notice that your natural speaking style becomes more inspiring and impactful. Another way to develop vocal confidence is to practice speaking in front of a mirror. Look at yourself as you speak. Observe your posture, facial expressions, and the movement of your mouth. This practice builds self-awareness and reduces the fear of being seen. Many people avoid looking at themselves, which increases their discomfort in front of others. By practicing in front of a mirror daily, you normalize the feeling of being watched, and your presence grows stronger. Recording your voice is equally powerful. At first, you may not like how you sound on playback. This is normal, because most people rarely hear their true voice. But by recording and listening, you can identify areas for improvement. Are you speaking too fast? Is your tone too flat? Are you pronouncing words clearly? With daily adjustments, your recordings will improve, and you will hear your progress. Over time, the sound of your voice will no longer feel foreign. It will feel strong and familiar. Confidence also grows from posture. Your body affects your voice more than you realize. When you slouch, your lungs cannot expand fully, and your voice sounds weaker. When you stand tall, your breathing improves, and your voice carries strength. Practice speaking while standing with your shoulders back and your head held high. Even when sitting, keep your posture upright. This physical discipline directly translates into vocal authority and confidence. To truly build confidence, you must also push yourself into practice situations that feel slightly uncomfortable. Speak up in meetings, ask questions in public, or volunteer to present ideas. These small acts train your mind to overcome the fear of judgment. The more you face these moments, the more natural they become. Daily practice is not just about exercises at home. It is about seizing opportunities to use your voice in real situations. Every time you speak up, you are reinforcing confidence in yourself. Another essential practice is learning to pause. Nervous speakers often rush, trying to finish quickly, but leaders know the value of controlled silence. Practice speaking a sentence, pausing for a moment, then continuing. This not only makes your voice more powerful, but also trains your mind to stay calm under pressure. Pauses show that you are in control of the moment and that you trust your words to carry weight without rushing. Over time, daily voice practice builds not only external strength, but also internal belief. You begin to trust yourself more because you know you have prepared. Confidence is not pretending to be fearless. It is the result of consistent preparation that makes fear irrelevant. When you have trained your voice every day, you walk into conversations knowing you are ready. That knowledge alone reduces anxiety and increases your presence. Your voice is your personal instrument, and like any instrument, it requires tuning. By dedicating time each day to practice, you polish your sound, refine your control, and expand your range. This practice is not about perfection, but about progress. Each day you grow more confident, more controlled, and more expressive. Soon others will notice the difference in how you speak. They will comment on the strength in your tone, the clarity of your words, and the calm authority in your delivery. Confidence in your voice is not about impressing others. It is about expressing yourself without fear. It allows you to share your ideas, defend your values, and inspire those around you. Without it, your thoughts remain hidden, and your influence is limited. With it, you can step into any room and know that your presence matters. Practicing daily ensures that this confidence is not temporary but permanent, a skill that stays with you for life. Every time you choose to practice your voice, you are not just training sound, you are training courage. You are telling yourself that your voice deserves to be heard, that your ideas matter, and that your presence has value. This mindset creates resilience in every area of life. When challenges come, you will face them not with silence, but with strength. When opportunities arise, you will seize them with confidence rather than hesitation. Developing confidence in your voice is a lifelong habit, but it begins with daily steps. Speak out loud, control your breath, strengthen your articulation, refine your tone, stand tall, record yourself, embrace pauses, push yourself into real practice situations. Each of these actions builds upon the other, and together they transform your voice into a tool of power and influence. When you commit to practicing every single day, you give yourself the gift of steady growth. Your voice becomes clearer, your presence becomes stronger, and your confidence becomes unshakable. This discipline will set you apart in every area of life. People follow those who sound confident, and confidence comes from preparation. Speak daily, practice daily, and you will develop a voice that not only communicates but also inspires. Chapter 4. Strengthen eye contact to build trust in conversations. The moment you learn to look someone directly in the eyes with calmness and confidence, you begin to unlock a powerful tool that can transform how people see you and how they trust you. Eye contact is more than a simple exchange of glances. It is one of the most powerful forms of non-verbal communication a human being can use. When you strengthen your ability to hold eye contact, you instantly signal presence, attention, honesty, and respect. People may not always remember your words, but they will never forget how you made them feel, and much of that feeling is created in the silent dialogue between your eyes and theirs. Trust is the foundation of every meaningful interaction, whether it is in personal relationships, professional conversations, or leadership roles. Without trust, words lose their weight. But trust is not built by accident. It is earned through consistency, authenticity, and presence. Eye contact is the bridge that carries these qualities across to others. When you meet someone's eyes and hold their gaze with steadiness, you are communicating without words. I am here, I value this moment, and I see you. This simple act plants the seeds of trust faster than almost anything else. Think of the moments when you felt someone truly listened to you. Chances are, they didn't just nod their head or say the right phrases. They looked at you with focus, giving you the sense that your words mattered. That is the power you can bring into your own life. The ability to look someone in the eyes while they speak tells them you are not distracted, not rushing, not thinking only of yourself. It shows that your attention is fully invested in them, and in return, they feel safe enough to open up, to trust, and to respect you. Strengthening your eye contact begins with self-awareness. Many people avoid eye contact out of nervousness, insecurity, or the fear of being judged. Others may glance too intensely, creating discomfort rather than connection. The key is balance, a steady, natural gaze that reflects confidence but also warmth. You do not need to stare, you simply need to stay present. A gentle rhythm of looking into someone's eyes, pausing occasionally and then returning your gaze keeps the interaction natural while still powerful. Confidence in eye contact is built, like any other skill, through deliberate practice. Start small. When you greet people each day, hold eye contact for just a second longer than you normally would. In conversations, remind yourself to lift your eyes and connect instead of glancing away. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but discomfort is a sign of growth. Over time, this small act becomes second nature, and you will notice how people respond differently to you. Strangers may greet you with more warmth, colleagues may show greater respect, and friends may share more openly. Eye contact is also a mirror of your internal state. If you feel insecure, it will be difficult to hold someone's gaze. But as you practice, something shifts inside. You begin to notice that holding your eyes steady trains your mind to stay steady. Your self-doubt starts to fade as your body language aligns with inner confidence. This is why strengthening eye contact is not just about communication, it is about transforming how you carry yourself in the world. Trust is never given freely, it is earned moment by moment. When you use eye contact wisely, you create a sense of honesty without needing to say a word. In leadership, this becomes especially critical. A leader who avoids eye contact is seen as uncertain or untrustworthy, while a leader who speaks with calm eyes commands respect. The same applies in personal relationships. When you look into the eyes of your partner, your children, or your friends, you give them the gift of undivided presence, and that presence strengthens bonds that words alone cannot repair. Practical steps can make this skill more natural. Practice eye contact during everyday activities such as ordering food, thanking someone, or greeting a neighbor. In group conversations, allow your gaze to move from person to person so everyone feels included. In one-on-one talks, balance direct eye contact with occasional pauses so the exchange feels natural rather than forced. If nervousness makes eye contact difficult, focus on the color of the other person's eyes or on the space between their eyebrows. This helps you stay steady while reducing anxiety. It is also important to be mindful of cultural differences. In some cultures, direct eye contact is seen as a sign of respect and strength, while in others, it may be perceived as aggressive. Building awareness of the environment and adjusting accordingly shows wisdom and adaptability. The goal is always connection, not control. One of the greatest benefits of strengthening your eye contact is how it amplifies your words. You can say the most powerful sentence, but without steady eye contact it may fall flat. On the other hand, even simple words like thank you or I believe in you become unforgettable when paired with a direct and genuine gaze. This is how leaders inspire, how teachers motivate, how friends comfort, and how relationships deepen. The eyes carry emotions more strongly than any tone of voice. As you grow in this practice, you will notice a new sense of calm within yourself. Holding eye contact requires presence, and presence pulls you away from overthinking or worrying. You begin to experience conversations with greater depth, focusing not on what you will say next, but on truly engaging in the moment. This shift not only makes you a stronger communicator, but also enriches your personal growth. Over time, eye contact becomes a reflection of your inner integrity. When you look people in the eyes with honesty, you show that you have nothing to hide. This builds a reputation of trustworthiness, and people naturally gravitate toward those they can rely on. Every job, every relationship, every opportunity is built on trust, and by mastering this simple yet powerful skill, you create doors that others may never even see. In the end, strengthening eye contact is about more than communication. It is about becoming the kind of person others can trust without hesitation. Your gaze should not only carry confidence, but also kindness. When people feel both strength and warmth from your eyes, they will follow you, support you, and believe in you. This is how leaders are born, how relationships thrive, and how influence grows. The journey to building trust through eye contact does not happen overnight, but every interaction is an opportunity to practice. Each time you meet someone's eyes and hold their gaze with authenticity, you strengthen not only your communication, but your character. In a world full of distractions and shallow exchanges, the ability to look another human being in the eyes and make them feel valued is rare, and rare qualities always stand out. So begin now. Start with the people you meet today. Offer them your eyes, steady and genuine. Carry yourself with calm presence, and allow your gaze to speak the words that cannot be said. With time, you will notice how your influence grows, how trust forms more easily, and how your conversations take on a deeper and more lasting meaning. For when you strengthen your eye contact, you are not just learning a skill, you are shaping the way people experience you and building a foundation of trust that can carry you through every area of life. Chapter 5. Use body language to express confidence and true presence. The way you carry yourself speaks louder than the words you choose, and the truth is, people often decide whether they respect you or not before you even say a single sentence. Body language is the silent force that reveals your confidence, your energy, and your presence long before your voice enters the conversation. When you learn to use your posture, gestures, and expressions with intention, you create an aura that commands attention and makes people believe in your message without question. Confidence is not just something you feel, it is something you project, and the world reads it through your body. Think about the impact of walking into a room with your shoulders pulled back, your head held high, and a calm steadiness in your steps. Without speaking, you've already told everyone that you belong there, that you respect yourself, and that you expect to be respected. This is the essence of true presence. On the other hand, slouched shoulders, nervous fidgeting, or avoiding physical openness can send signals of insecurity that weaken the power of your words. People may not consciously notice these details, but subconsciously they are always reading your body for clues. That is why learning to control and elevate your body language is one of the most valuable investments you can make in your communication. Presence begins with posture. A straight spine is more than physical alignment. It represents inner strength. When you stand tall, you give your lungs space to breathe fully, your voice resonates more clearly, and you project an image of assurance. Imagine the difference between someone shrinking into their chair during a conversation versus someone sitting upright with an open chest and relaxed hands. One fades into the background, while the other becomes memorable. Your body teaches others how to treat you, and by holding yourself with dignity, you invite respect from everyone around you. Gestures also shape how people interpret your confidence. Open hand movements suggest honesty and engagement, while closed or hidden hands may imply hesitation or defensiveness. Using your hands with intention emphasizes your points and makes your speech more dynamic. Leaders, teachers, and speakers throughout history have understood this. Gestures anchor ideas in people's minds and bring words to life. The key is moderation. Wild or uncontrolled movements create distraction, but steady, purposeful gestures communicate certainty and authenticity. Facial expressions are another powerful tool in conveying presence. A calm, relaxed face paired with a genuine smile communicates warmth and assurance. It shows that you are approachable yet confident in yourself. Tension in the face, tight lips, or darting eyes can weaken that image. Training yourself to soften your face while maintaining focus helps balance strength with kindness, which is the hallmark of effective communication. People are drawn to those who combine authority with warmth, and your expression can achieve this before a word is spoken. Your body language also reflects the energy you carry. Confidence is not about acting superior, it is about being fully present in the moment. When you lean slightly forward during conversations, it shows interest. When you hold steady eye contact with relaxed shoulders, it shows calm self-assurance. When your movements are slow and deliberate, it signals control instead of nervousness. Each small adjustment shapes how others perceive your presence and how deeply they trust you. One of the most important aspects of body language is eliminating habits that undermine your authority. Fidgeting with your hands, tapping your feet, or constantly shifting your weight signals unease. Crossing your arms tightly can create a barrier that distances others from you. Avoiding physical openness makes people feel shut out. These habits often go unnoticed by the person displaying them, but they send loud signals to others. The first step toward mastering body language is awareness, observing yourself and recognizing what your movements reveal. A practical way to improve is to watch yourself in a mirror while speaking or record your conversations. This allows you to see the image you present and adjust it with intention. Practice standing tall, speaking with open gestures, and maintaining calm stillness. Over time, these patterns become natural, and your body begins to reflect the confidence you want others to see. You are training not only your muscles, but also your mind to live in alignment with strength and presence. There is also power in stillness. People often believe that confidence comes from doing more gestures, more movement, more animation, but often the most powerful presence comes from doing less. A steady stance, a calm pause, and a composed posture speak volumes. Silence combined with strong body language creates impact because it shows you do not feel the need to prove yourself frantically. Instead, you allow your presence to do the work for you. Cultural awareness is important in interpreting and using body language effectively. What conveys confidence in one culture may be seen differently in another. For example, physical space, hand gestures, and posture can carry different meanings across societies. Being mindful of this ensures that your confidence is not misunderstood as arrogance or disrespect. True presence is adaptable. It respects the environment while maintaining its essence. Body language also plays a vital role in leadership. A leader who speaks confidently but hides behind closed posture or nervous habits loses authority. A leader who embodies confidence through their stance, movements, and calmness earns loyalty. People follow those who appear grounded, and body language is the proof of that grounding. Whether you are leading a team, giving a presentation, or having a one-on-one conversation, your body sets the tone before your words reach anyone's ears. Confidence expressed through body language is also deeply connected to self-respect. When you honor yourself by carrying your body with strength, others mirror that respect back to you. The more consistently you project confidence, the more your environment responds to you with trust and openness. Opportunities often open not just because of what you say, but because of how you carry yourself while saying it. This is why many successful people spend as much time mastering their presence as they do mastering their knowledge. Daily practice makes this skill part of who you are. Every time you walk into a room, be conscious of your posture. Every time you speak, notice your gestures. Every time you interact, check the openness of your body. Over time, these habits build a natural aura of confidence that cannot be faked. Unlike memorized lines or forced behaviors, true body language presence comes from consistency, discipline, and awareness. Ultimately, using body language to express confidence is about creating harmony between who you are and how you present yourself. It is aligning your inner strength with your outer image. When your body reflects self-assurance, you no longer need to convince others of your worth. They will see it for themselves. Presence is not about being the loudest in the room, but about being the one who commands attention without demanding it. When you stand tall, move with intention, and allow your body to communicate strength, you become unforgettable. People will sense your confidence, respect your presence, and believe in your message. This is the power of mastering body language. It not only elevates your communication, but also transforms the way the world experiences you. Confidence is not just in the words you choose, it is in the way you carry every part of yourself, and when your body speaks with strength, the world listens with trust. Chapter 6. Practice empathy to connect with others on deeper levels. The greatest strength you can develop in communication is the ability to step outside of yourself and truly feel what another person is experiencing. Empathy is not weakness, it is the foundation of meaningful human connection, and it allows you to reach people on a level that logic and knowledge alone can never achieve. When you practice empathy, you stop simply hearing words and begin to understand the emotions, struggles, and perspectives behind those words. This shift transforms ordinary conversations into moments of trust and authenticity, where others feel valued not just for what they say, but for who they are. To practice empathy, you must first slow down and give your full attention. Too often, people listen only to prepare their response, waiting impatiently for their turn to speak. Empathy demands patience. It requires you to quiet your own inner dialogue and immerse yourself in the experience of the person in front of you. This act alone makes people feel respected. Imagine how rare and powerful it is to feel that someone is not only listening to you, but genuinely caring about what you are feeling. This is the essence of connection, and it begins with choosing presence over distraction. True empathy also requires humility. It is easy to assume that your way of seeing the world is the most accurate, but empathy asks you to set aside your assumptions and recognize that every individual carries a story you may not know. Instead of rushing to correct, judge, or solve, empathy invites you to listen with openness. Even if you disagree with someone's perspective, you can acknowledge their reality and validate their emotions. This does not mean you must accept every viewpoint as truth. It means you respect the dignity of another person's experience. Practicing empathy deepens relationships in ways that surface-level communication never can. When a friend shares their struggles, offering empathy builds a bridge of trust. When a colleague feels unheard, demonstrating empathy strengthens cooperation. When a family member is upset, showing empathy reassures them that their feelings matter. These moments of understanding create bonds that last because people remember how you made them feel. You may forget the details of a conversation, but you will always remember whether you felt dismissed or understood. To grow in empathy, focus on developing curiosity. Ask yourself what the other person might be experiencing beneath their words. Look at their body language, notice the tone of their voice, and pay attention to the emotions between the lines. Ask gentle questions that encourage them to share more. How has that been for you? Or what do you need most right now? These questions open doors because they show that you are not rushing toward your own agenda. You care enough to explore theirs. Another key to empathy is practicing reflection. This means summarizing or mirroring what you hear to ensure understanding. If someone says they are overwhelmed at work, you might respond, "It sounds like you're carrying a lot and it's draining you." Such statements not only confirm that you are listening, but also give the other person the chance to clarify or expand. Reflection validates emotions and strengthens the bond between speaker and listener. Empathy requires emotional control. If you allow your own frustration, impatience, or defensiveness to take over, you close the space for true understanding. Building discipline in your emotional responses ensures that you can remain calm even when others express anger or sadness. By grounding yourself in patience and compassion, you create a safe space where others feel free to open up. This calm presence is often more powerful than any words of advice you could give. In leadership, empathy separates those who merely instruct from those who inspire. A leader who listens only to issue commands loses loyalty quickly. A leader who listens to understand creates a culture of respect. When people feel seen and valued, they are more motivated to contribute. Empathy turns authority into influence, because people will follow those who make them feel understood. Empathy also strengthens conflict resolution. Arguments often escalate not because of the issue itself, but because people feel misunderstood or dismissed. When you respond with empathy, you lower defenses and shift the focus from winning to understanding. Saying, "I see how this situation is frustrating for you," immediately changes the tone of the conversation. Once people feel validated, they become more open to cooperation and solutions. One of the biggest challenges to empathy is distraction. In a world filled with constant notifications and divided attention, giving someone your full focus has become rare. But the very act of putting your phone away, maintaining eye contact, and being fully present sends a powerful message: you matter. This simple discipline strengthens your empathy and makes every interaction more meaningful. Practicing empathy also extends beyond conversations. It is in the way you treat service workers, the patience you show to strangers, and the kindness you extend to those who cannot offer you anything in return. Small daily acts of empathy reinforce the habit and make it part of your character. When empathy becomes second nature, you carry it everywhere, and people around you feel the difference. Empathy must also be balanced with boundaries. Caring deeply does not mean carrying every burden as your own. Practicing empathy means recognizing and understanding the emotions of others while staying grounded in your own well-being. Without boundaries, empathy can become overwhelming. With healthy limits, empathy becomes sustainable, allowing you to connect deeply without losing yourself in the process. To develop empathy, consistency is essential. Make it a daily practice to slow down, observe, and engage with others sincerely. Notice how people around you are feeling and acknowledge it, even in small ways. A simple "I understand this has been difficult for you" can make someone feel seen. Over time, these small moments build into a powerful habit of connection. Empathy transforms not only relationships with others, but also your relationship with yourself. By practicing compassion toward others, you naturally cultivate patience and kindness within. You begin to judge less, listen more, and grow in emotional strength. This shift creates resilience, because when you understand others, you also begin to understand yourself more clearly. When you live with empathy, your communication gains depth. People will seek you out, not only because of what you say, but because of how you make them feel. They will trust your words because they trust your heart. They will value your presence because they feel valued in return. Empathy is not just a tool for better conversations, it is a way of life that elevates every connection. The power of empathy lies in its simplicity. You do not need grand gestures or complicated strategies. You only need to listen, to care, and to step into another person's world for a moment. In doing so, you transform ordinary exchanges into meaningful encounters. You become the kind of communicator who is not only heard, but remembered. And in a world full of noise, that ability is priceless. Chapter 7. Improve storytelling to make your message powerful and memorable. The words you speak can inform people, but the stories you tell can transform them, because storytelling reaches places that facts and instructions alone can never touch. Human beings are wired to respond to stories. They carry emotion, they create images in the mind, and they leave impressions that stay long after details are forgotten. If you want your communication to be powerful and unforgettable, you must learn how to craft and deliver stories that connect deeply with people's hearts and minds. Storytelling is not about entertaining with fiction, it is about using real experiences, lessons and examples to create meaning that others can carry with them. Every message you deliver becomes stronger when you frame it through a story. Think about the most memorable speeches, teachings, or conversations you have experienced. Chances are they were filled with stories that illustrated the lesson in a way that facts alone never could. A principle explained through dry instruction may be clear, but a principle shown through a story becomes alive, relatable, and inspiring. When someone listens to your story, they begin to see themselves inside it, and that is when the message becomes personal and unforgettable. To improve your storytelling, you must first embrace the idea that everyone has stories worth telling. Too often, people believe that storytelling is for writers, performers, or leaders, but the truth is that your own experiences carry value that others can learn from. Every challenge you have faced, every lesson you have learned, Every success or failure has the potential to inspire someone else. Storytelling is not about inventing something extraordinary. It is about finding the meaning in what you have lived and expressing it in a way that touches others. A powerful story always begins with authenticity. People can sense when a story is forced or exaggerated, and it immediately breaks trust. Authentic stories, even small ones, carry more impact than dramatic tales that feel unrealistic. Sharing a genuine moment from your life shows vulnerability, and vulnerability invites connection. When you tell a story with honesty, people lean in because they see the truth in your words, and truth is always compelling. The key to making your storytelling memorable is structure. Every story needs a clear beginning, middle, and end. In the beginning, you set the stage by introducing the situation or the challenge. In the middle, you describe the struggle, the decisions, or the turning points. In the end, you reveal the lesson or outcome. This structure creates flow, and flow keeps people engaged. Without structure, a story becomes scattered and loses its power. With structure, a story becomes a journey that carries the listener from curiosity to understanding. Details bring stories to life. When you describe a moment with sensory details, what you saw, what you heard, how you felt, you transport your listener into that experience. Instead of saying, "I was nervous," you might say, "My hands were trembling and my heart was racing." The second example allows the listener to feel the moment with you. This doesn't mean overloading the story with unnecessary description, but choosing the right details to make the experience real in the listener's imagination. Emotion is at the heart of every powerful story. People may forget the exact words you used, but they will never forget how your story made them feel. Whether it is the relief of overcoming fear, the joy of success, or the pain of struggle, emotions give depth to your message. The more honest you are about the feelings involved, the more your audience can connect. Emotion is the bridge that allows a story to move from your life into theirs. Another way to make stories impactful is to highlight transformation. A story is not just about what happened, it is about what changed because of what happened. Every strong story shows growth, insight, or a new perspective. If you can reveal how you or someone else grew through the experience, your listener can take that lesson and apply it to their own life. Transformation gives purpose to your story, and purpose makes it unforgettable. Storytelling is also strengthened by simplicity. You do not need long or complicated narratives to make a point. In fact, shorter stories often have more power because they are easy to follow and remember. A simple story with a clear message stays in people's minds far longer than a complex tale with too many details. Clarity is essential. Know the lesson you want your story to deliver and keep everything focused on that. To practice storytelling, start by reflecting on your own experiences. Think about moments where you learned something important, overcame a challenge, or witnessed something meaningful. Write them down, not to memorize them word for word, but to clarify the lessons they carry. Then, practice telling them aloud in a natural, conversational way. Pay attention to the flow, the emotion, and the clarity. With repetition, you will find your stories becoming more fluid and impactful. Listening to other storytellers can also sharpen your skills. Notice how great speakers or leaders use pauses, emphasis, and tone to make their stories engaging. Study how they balance details and simplicity, how they lead the audience into the story, and how they close with a clear message. The more you observe, the more tools you gain for your own storytelling. Delivery is just as important as the content of the story. Your tone, pacing, and energy bring the story to life. Speak with conviction when describing key moments. Slow down during important parts to allow the listener to feel the weight of the moment. Use pauses to create anticipation or reflection. A well-delivered story can move people to action because it does not just inform them, it stirs something inside of them. Storytelling also strengthens trust. When you share personal stories, you reveal your humanity. People stop seeing you as distant and start seeing you as relatable. This trust creates influence because people are more willing to listen and learn from someone they believe understands them. Every story you tell is an opportunity to build that trust, to let people know you are not just speaking at them but speaking with them from shared human experience. In leadership, storytelling is one of the most effective ways to inspire teams. Facts and instructions may explain what needs to be done, but stories ignite motivation. A leader who shares the story of past struggles and victories can rally people toward a goal far more effectively than commands ever could. Stories show possibility, and possibility creates belief. Belief is the foundation of collective action, and storytelling is the spark that lights it. The more you practice, the more natural your storytelling becomes. At first, you may feel uncertain or awkward, but over time your confidence grows. You begin to recognize which stories resonate most, which details captivate, and which lessons stick with people. The more you share, the more you refine, and soon your stories become one of your greatest tools for influence. Ultimately, improving your storytelling is about more than communication. It is about connecting with people in a way that leaves them changed. Every time you tell a story with authenticity, emotion, and clarity, you give a gift. You give the listener a chance to see themselves, to learn, and to grow. This is what makes your message powerful and memorable. It is not the length of your speech or the complexity of your arguments. It is the stories that bring your message to life, that people carry with them long after the conversation ends. Chapter 8. Expand vocabulary to express your thoughts with precision. Words are the tools of thought, and the wider your vocabulary, the more precisely and powerfully you can shape the world around you. Every idea, every vision, every dream you want to communicate depends on the words you have at your disposal. When your vocabulary is limited, you may feel the thought inside you, but struggle to bring it out in a way that others can fully grasp. But when you strengthen your vocabulary, you unlock the ability to express your ideas with clarity, depth, and authority, leaving no room for misunderstanding. Expanding your vocabulary does not mean memorizing long lists of obscure terms that you never use. It means developing a living collection of words that become natural extensions of your thinking and speaking. Each new word is not just a decoration, it is a tool that allows you to capture subtle shades of meaning, to replace vague language with precise expression, and to elevate your communication so that it truly reflects the richness of your ideas. The right word in the right moment can change how your message is received. It can turn confusion into understanding, doubt into conviction, and hesitation into action. Think about the difference between saying something is good and being able to say it is transformative, inspiring, or life-changing. Each word paints a different picture and carries a different weight. A limited vocabulary forces you to use the same general words over and over, which flattens your message. But an expanded vocabulary gives you colors to paint with, allowing you to bring your ideas to life in vivid detail. When your words are sharp and accurate, people listen more closely because they sense precision and confidence in your speech. One of the most effective ways to expand your vocabulary is through consistent reading. Books, articles, essays, and speeches expose you to words in context, which is far more powerful than simply looking at definitions. When you encounter a word within a story or an argument, you see not only what it means, but how it works in real communication. Over time, these exposures accumulate, and words become part of your natural language. Every page you read is an opportunity to add a new tool to your arsenal. But it is not enough to see words, you must also practice using them. Writing is a powerful method for strengthening vocabulary because it forces you to actively choose words to match your ideas. When you write, you begin to notice where your language feels repetitive, where your sentences feel dull, and where stronger words could sharpen your point. By intentionally replacing weak words with stronger, more precise ones, you train yourself to reach for better vocabulary in everyday conversation. Another step in building vocabulary is developing curiosity about language. Whenever you hear or read a word you do not know, pause to explore it. Look up its meaning, its origin, and examples of its use. A curious mind grows a rich vocabulary because it refuses to skip over the unfamiliar. Each time you explore a new word, you expand the range of thoughts you can articulate. Over time, these small discoveries accumulate into a noticeable change in how you communicate. Pay attention also to the power of synonyms. Different words can carry subtle differences in tone, intensity, or formality. Saying someone is angry communicates something different than saying they are irritated, enraged, or frustrated. Each word provides a more specific picture of the feeling. By learning synonyms and their distinctions, you become capable of expressing yourself with nuance instead of generalization. Nuance is what separates basic communication from powerful communication because it allows you to speak with exactness. Precision in language also prevents misunderstanding. How often do conflicts arise because people use vague or careless words? When you have the vocabulary to state your thoughts clearly, you leave less room for misinterpretation. People respect communication that is direct and exact because it saves time and removes confusion. A precise speaker earns trust, while a vague speaker often frustrates or loses their audience. Expanding your vocabulary is not only about self-expression, but also about building stronger connections through clarity. Learning new words also develops your confidence. When you know you have the right words to express yourself, you feel more at ease in any conversation, whether it is casual, professional, or formal. Confidence in language is visible to others, and it enhances the impression you make. People naturally listen more closely to someone who speaks with clarity and assurance. A strong vocabulary, used wisely, becomes part of your presence and your influence. It is also important to remember that expanding vocabulary is not about showing off or using complicated words unnecessarily. The goal is not to impress, but to express. The most powerful communicators are those who use the right words, not the fanciest ones. Sometimes the simplest word is the strongest, and sometimes a more precise word makes all the difference. The art lies in choosing wisely based on your audience and your message. Conversations themselves are great opportunities to practice. Notice the words others use, adopt phrases that resonate with you, and challenge yourself to use new words in natural dialogue. At first it may feel deliberate, but soon it becomes natural. The more you integrate new words into daily life, the more they become a permanent part of your vocabulary. Language grows through use, not through storage. You can also expand vocabulary by immersing yourself in different subjects. Science, history, art, and philosophy each have their own language, and exploring these areas exposes you to words and ideas you might never encounter otherwise. This not only improves your vocabulary but also broadens your knowledge, giving you more content to draw from in your communication. The wider your range of learning, the richer your language becomes. Listening to skilled speakers is another powerful way to grow. Pay attention to how they choose words, how they emphasize certain phrases, and how their vocabulary shapes the impact of their message. Great communicators are often great wordsmiths, and by observing them, you gain insight into how vocabulary can create rhythm, emotion, and authority in speech. To make vocabulary truly work for you, Combine it with intention. Do not simply learn words for the sake of collecting them. Instead, see every new word as a tool for sharper thought and clearer expression. Each time you use a word thoughtfully, you strengthen the link between your ideas and your communication. Words are not ornaments, they are instruments of influence. Expanding your vocabulary is a lifelong journey, but every step makes you more capable of shaping the world through language. With each new word, you gain another way to express an idea, another way to connect with someone, another way to inspire action. Over time, this accumulation of language builds into a voice that carries weight, clarity, and impact. Remember that the strength of your communication does not lie in how much you know, but in how clearly you can share it. Vocabulary is the bridge between your thoughts and the understanding of others. The more precise and varied your vocabulary, the stronger that bridge becomes. And when people hear your words and feel that you have expressed exactly what they were struggling to say themselves, that is when your communication reaches its highest power. So commit yourself to expanding your vocabulary with purpose. Read widely, write consistently, listen attentively, and stay curious about language. Use new words, not to sound clever, but to express truth with precision. Over time, you will notice that your ideas flow more freely, your speech carries more authority, and your message lands with greater impact. This is the gift of a rich vocabulary. It allows you to fully express who you are and what you believe, with no hesitation, no confusion, and no limits. Chapter 9. Slow your speech to communicate calmly and with authority. Powerful communication is not always about speaking more, but about speaking with control, calmness, and intention, and one of the most effective ways to do this is by slowing down your speech. When you rush your words, you risk losing your audience, your message becomes harder to follow, and your presence can come across as nervous or uncertain. But when you deliberately slow your pace, you project confidence, create clarity, and give your words the weight they deserve. People instinctively trust a voice that is steady and calm, and they respond with greater attention when the speaker communicates with deliberate authority. Speaking slowly does not mean dragging your words or sounding unnatural. It means giving yourself enough space between your thoughts and your speech, so that every idea is delivered with purpose. A slower pace helps you manage your breathing, control your tone, and emphasize key points. It gives your audience time to process your message, reflect on it, and connect with it emotionally. Fast talkers often leave their listeners overwhelmed or confused, but slow and measured communication leaves listeners feeling engaged, respected, and guided. One of the first benefits of slowing down is the power of presence. A calm voice instantly communicates that you are in control of yourself and the situation. Leaders who rush appear anxious, but leaders who take their time seem composed, steady, and trustworthy. Authority does not come from volume or speed. It comes from the ability to hold attention through calm delivery. When you master a slower pace, you demonstrate that you value your words enough not to rush them, and others begin to value them too. Slowing your speech also allows you to connect with your audience on a deeper level. Human beings process information at different speeds, and when you give them time to follow your thoughts, you build trust. Your listeners feel that you are not pushing them, but guiding them. They are not racing to keep up. Instead, they are absorbing, reflecting, and internalizing what you say. This is especially powerful when you are sharing complex ideas, giving instructions, or inspiring others. A slower pace creates space for understanding, and understanding builds influence. When you speak more slowly, you also gain greater control over your voice. You notice your tone, your pauses, and your inflections more clearly. This awareness allows you to highlight what matters most, and it prevents your message from blending into one rushed stream of words. Every pause becomes an opportunity to let your message sink in. Every deliberate break signals that what you just said is worth remembering. Audiences lean in when they sense that a pause has meaning, and in that silence, your authority grows. Think about the greatest speakers in history, leaders, teachers, and visionaries. They rarely rushed their words. Instead, they spoke with measured pace, allowing every sentence to land with impact. Their speeches became memorable, not just because of what they said, but because of how they delivered it. A slower rhythm gave their words rhythm and strength. You too can apply this by practicing your pacing, training yourself to resist the urge to hurry, and instead learning to trust the power of silence and space. Slowing down also helps you reduce nervousness. Many people rush when they feel anxious, trying to get their words out before they forget or before they lose their courage. But ironically, speeding up only increases anxiety because it leads to mistakes, stumbles, and unclear delivery. By consciously slowing your speech, you calm your mind, regulate your breathing, and regain composure. With practice, this becomes a natural habit, and instead of sounding nervous, you sound grounded and steady. Another powerful effect of slower speech is the authority it creates in decision-making and leadership settings. In professional environments, the person who speaks calmly and deliberately often has the greatest influence. When you speak too quickly, people may question your certainty, but when you slow down, you signal that you are thoughtful and confident in your words. Calmness carries weight. It communicates that you are not desperate to be heard, you expect to be heard, and therefore you can afford to take your time. A slower pace also makes you a better listener. Communication is not just about speaking. It is about responding thoughtfully. When you train yourself to slow down, you naturally create space for others to contribute. Instead of rushing to speak, you pause, consider their words, and answer with clarity. This balance strengthens relationships because it shows respect and patience. People feel valued when they are not rushed, and they are more open to listening to someone who has listened to them. Slowing your speech also sharpens your language. When you give yourself more time, you become more intentional about the words you choose. You avoid filler phrases, unnecessary repetition, or sloppy sentences. Instead, you form cleaner thoughts and deliver them with precision. This is one of the simplest ways to sound intelligent and articulate. It is not about using complex vocabulary. It is about speaking with control and intention. To practice this skill, begin with simple exercises. Record yourself speaking on a topic and notice your pacing. Are you rushing through sentences? Are you allowing pauses to occur naturally? Then deliberately slow your pace by adding half a second of space between key ideas. At first it may feel slower than you want, but remember that what feels slow to you often feels just right to your audience. Over time, your ear adjusts, and you learn to find the balance between steady and engaging. Breathing exercises also help. By practicing controlled breathing, you naturally regulate your pace. Before important conversations, take a few deep breaths and remind yourself to let your words follow your breath instead of racing ahead. Breathing grounds your voice and slows your delivery. With this habit, you will never feel rushed, even in high-pressure situations. Storytelling is another area where slower speech transforms impact. When telling a story, rushing ruins the flow, but slowing down builds suspense, highlights emotions, and keeps listeners engaged. Each pause pulls your audience into the moment, making them feel the importance of every detail. Whether in personal or professional contexts, a calm and deliberate storytelling pace makes your message unforgettable. Authority also comes from the way silence is used. Many people fear silence, but in reality, silence is one of the most powerful tools in communication. When you pause after a strong statement, you allow the weight of your words to sink in. That silence gives your audience time to absorb the message and makes your delivery more persuasive. Slowing your speech allows silence to become your ally, not your enemy. By committing to slowing your pace, you also improve your presence in conversations. Instead of sounding like you are rushing to finish, you sound like you are fully engaged in the moment. People notice when you are fully present, and they reward that presence with attention and respect. True authority comes not from speaking the most, but from speaking in a way that shows mastery over yourself and your message. Over time, you will find that slowing your speech improves not only how others see you, but also how you see yourself. You feel calmer, more in control, and more capable of handling difficult conversations. You stop fearing mistakes because you give yourself enough time to think before you speak. This self-assurance builds confidence that spreads into every area of life. So choose today to practice slowing down your speech. Remind yourself that fast talking does not equal strong communication. Calm and measured words create authority, trust, and influence. Speak with intention. Use pauses to your advantage, and let your message unfold at a pace that allows people to truly hear you. In that calm, steady rhythm, your words gain a power that rushing could never achieve, and your voice becomes a voice that others listen to with respect and confidence. Chapter 10. Ask meaningful questions to inspire dialogue and better understanding. The true strength of communication is not only measured by how well you speak, but also by the depth of the questions you ask. A question has the power to open minds, spark meaningful dialogue, and create connections that words alone cannot achieve. When you ask questions with intention, you shift conversations from shallow exchanges into valuable experiences that leave people feeling understood, respected, and inspired. Questions are not just tools for gathering information, they are gateways to trust, learning, and growth. Asking meaningful questions requires genuine curiosity. Too often, people focus only on delivering their own opinions, trying to be heard rather than seeking to understand. But when you choose to ask a thoughtful question, you signal that the other person matters and that their perspective has value. This simple act can dissolve barriers, build bridges, and create bonds that no amount of talking could ever accomplish. People are far more willing to listen to you when they feel that you have first listened to them, and meaningful questions are the doorway to that listening. The beauty of asking questions lies in the transformation it brings to conversations. The typical exchange might remain on the surface, filled with quick replies and casual remarks, but when you introduce a question that makes someone reflect, you invite them into a space of honesty and depth. Questions like, "What has been most meaningful to you this week?" or "What challenges are you working through right now?" go beyond small talk. They show care, they open the possibility for vulnerability, and they invite stories that create deeper understanding. When you learn to ask questions that matter, you also become a better leader. Leadership is not about giving constant instructions, but about inspiring people to think, reflect, and grow. The most respected leaders are those who ask, "How do you see this situation?" or "What do you think would make this better?" These seeds do more than gather opinions. They empower others to take ownership of their thoughts and contributions. By asking instead of telling, you create an atmosphere where people feel involved, engaged, and valued. Asking questions also sharpens your ability to learn. If you only speak, you only share what you already know. But by asking, you unlock knowledge from others. Every person carries experiences and insights you have never lived, and questions are the keys that open that treasure. This is why the most successful individuals, no matter their field, are often relentless questioners. They understand that progress does not come from pretending to know everything, but from seeking to learn from everyone. Another powerful aspect of meaningful questions is their ability to diffuse tension. In heated discussions, arguments often escalate because people talk over each other, defending their own points of view. But when you pause and ask, "Why do you feel that way?" or "What led you to that conclusion?" you shift the energy. Suddenly, instead of fighting, you are inviting. Instead of resisting, the other person begins to explain. Questions disarm hostility and create space for understanding. They do not guarantee agreement, but they guarantee respect, and respect is the foundation for progress. To master the art of asking meaningful questions, you must first be present. Too many questions are wasted because they are asked mechanically, without true attention. A powerful question is born from careful listening. You hear what someone says, you notice the emotions behind it, and then you ask a question that shows you truly care. This requires patience, awareness, and a willingness to slow down instead of rushing to fill silence. Practical application of this skill begins in daily conversations. Instead of asking the standard "How are you?" and moving on, take it deeper. What has been the highlight of your day? Instead of asking "Did you like it?" ask, "What part of it stood out to you the most?" By reshaping even the simplest questions, you create richer dialogue and more memorable interactions. In professional environments, meaningful questions are a secret advantage. In interviews, meetings, or negotiations, the person who asks insightful questions often controls the direction of the conversation. Questions reveal priorities, expose opportunities, and uncover needs that may not be visible on the surface. Asking what is most important to you in this decision can transform a negotiation. Asking what challenges do you face right now can strengthen a working relationship. The right question at the right moment can open doors that a long speech never could. In personal relationships, questions are even more vital. They show care, interest, and investment in another person's life. When you ask your partner, family member, or friend about their feelings, dreams, or struggles, you communicate love through curiosity. Many relationships weaken because people stop asking. They assume they already know, but lives change and people evolve. Continuing to ask meaningful questions keeps relationships alive, fresh, and deeply connected. It is also important to understand that not all questions carry the same weight. Surface questions are fine for casual conversation, but meaningful questions require intention. They are not about interrogating or pressuring, but about inviting and encouraging. The tone matters just as much as the content. A gentle, open-ended question creates safety, while a sharp or judgmental one can close people off. Practicing empathy while asking questions ensures that your curiosity feels like care, not scrutiny. There is also a discipline in asking fewer but better questions. Flooding a person with too many can overwhelm them, but offering one powerful, open question allows them to go deeper. For example, asking, "What lesson did you take away from that experience?" gives someone the chance to reflect and share something meaningful. One strong question can open a conversation that lasts hours, while 10 shallow ones might not last more than a few minutes. To strengthen this skill, practice in small moments. When you meet someone new, instead of focusing on what you will say about yourself, focus on what you can ask them about their journey. When you sit with a colleague, ask them what inspires them most about their work. When you spend time with family, ask them what brings them peace or excitement. Over time, these questions will become natural, and you will notice that people open up to you more easily. What makes asking meaningful questions such a powerful communication tool is the emotional impact it has. People rarely remember every detail of a conversation, but they always remember how they felt during it. A good question makes people feel seen, heard, and valued. It tells them they are worth your attention. And when people feel that way, they trust you, follow you, and want to continue engaging with you. This practice also helps you grow as an individual. The habit of asking forces you to remain humble, to accept that you do not have all the answers, and to see every person as a teacher. It sharpens your awareness of others and keeps your mind open. Confidence grows not from pretending to know everything, but from knowing that you are always willing to learn. Questions keep you curious, and curiosity keeps you alive to possibility. When you make asking meaningful questions a daily discipline, you transform the way you communicate and the way people respond to you. Conversations stop being one-sided and start becoming enriching. People stop feeling unheard and start feeling valued, and you move from being just another voice in the noise to being someone whose presence inspires reflection and growth. So commit to being a person who asks questions that matter. Approach each conversation with genuine curiosity and respect. Replace surface-level exchanges with deeper explorations. Use questions to guide, to learn, and to connect. When you make this shift, you not only improve your communication skills, but also elevate the quality of your relationships, your leadership, and your influence. Words can inform, but questions transform, and it is through the questions you ask that you will inspire dialogue and create true understanding. Chapter 11. Eliminate filler words to speak with confidence and strength. Every time you speak, your words carry power, but that power is weakened when it is buried under filler words that do not add meaning. Words like, like, and may slip out without notice, yet they create the impression of hesitation, uncertainty, and lack of authority. If you want to speak with confidence and strength, you must discipline yourself to eliminate these unnecessary fillers and replace them with intentional pauses, clear words, and steady delivery. When you cut away the clutter in your speech, what remains is direct, compelling, and unforgettable. Filler words often appear because of nervousness, lack of preparation, or fear of silence. People use them to fill gaps when they are thinking, but the truth is that silence is far more powerful than a weak placeholder. A pause gives your audience time to reflect, while a filler word distracts them from your message. Imagine delivering an important idea and weakening it with a string of ers. The audience stops focusing on the content and starts noticing your lack of control. By removing fillers, you show that you are fully in charge of your communication. Clarity is one of the greatest signs of confidence. When you choose words carefully and present them without hesitation, people naturally listen more closely. This does not mean rushing through speech or trying to sound overly polished. It means being deliberate with every sentence. Strength in communication comes not from saying more, but from saying exactly what needs to be said in a way that leaves no doubt about your intention. Every filler you cut out makes your message sharper, stronger, and easier to remember. The first step to removing fillers is awareness. Many people do not even notice how often they rely on these words. Record yourself in conversation or while giving a short talk, then play it back and listen closely. You might be surprised to hear just how frequently like, so, or slips into your speech. Awareness is uncomfortable, but it is essential. You cannot change what you refuse to notice, and once you hear those patterns, you are already on the path to improvement. Replacing fillers requires patience and practice. Instead of filling silence with meaningless sounds, train yourself to pause. At first, silence may feel heavy, but your audience does not experience it that way. To them, a pause signals thoughtfulness, intention, and control. It gives weight to what you just said and prepares them for what comes next. Pausing is not a weakness. It is one of the greatest strengths of powerful communication. Confidence is also built through preparation. Many fillers arise because you are unsure of what to say next. The more you prepare, the less you stumble. Before a conversation, a meeting, or a presentation, take time to organize your thoughts. Know your main points. Anticipate possible questions. Create a mental roadmap so you are not forced to fill gaps with nervous sounds. Preparedness frees your mind to focus on delivery, and delivery without hesitation commands respect. Body language also plays a role in eliminating fillers. Nervousness in your body often translates into nervousness in your voice. If you fidget, avoid eye contact, or tighten your posture, you are more likely to fall back on filler words. But when you stand tall, breathe deeply, and use open gestures, you project confidence and your voice follows. A calm body creates a calm voice, and a calm voice rarely needs fillers. Another way to eliminate fillers is to slow your pace. When you rush, your brain races to keep up with your mouth, and fillers sneak in as you search for the next word. Slowing down allows your thoughts to align with your speech. It gives you control over your rhythm and reduces the temptation to plug gaps with empty sounds. Deliberate pacing transforms your communication from scattered to steady, and people perceive steady speech as confident and authoritative. Listening is equally important. Pay attention to how skilled communicators speak. Notice how they use silence, how they pause with intention, and how they rarely rely on fillers. Great speakers are not flawless, but they have trained themselves to use silence instead of clutter. By observing and practicing, you can begin to model these same habits in your own communication. Eliminating filler words is not about sounding robotic or unnatural. It is about strengthening your presence. Your voice should still carry warmth, emotion, and authenticity, but it should be free from the distractions that weaken your impact. Authenticity shines brighter when your words are clear and uncluttered. People want to hear your message, not your hesitation, and removing fillers ensures that they focus on the substance, not the noise. Consider the impact this has in leadership settings. When a leader speaks with clarity, without hesitation, people believe in their vision. When a leader stumbles with filler words, confidence in their direction weakens. Whether you are addressing a team, speaking in an interview, or sharing ideas with friends, clarity builds credibility. Confidence is contagious, and it begins with the way you choose and deliver your words. Eliminating fillers also trains you to be more mindful. Every time you pause instead of filling silence, you give yourself a moment to think. This habit improves the quality of your responses. Instead of blurting out unrefined thoughts, you answer with purpose. Over time, this mindfulness extends beyond speech and into how you approach challenges, relationships, and decisions. Strong communication skills are never just about words. They shape who you are and how others perceive your strength of character. To strengthen this skill daily, create small challenges for yourself. Have short conversations where you consciously avoid fillers. Pause before answering questions, even in casual exchanges. Practice giving explanations or stories with clarity, recording them if possible. Each exercise trains your brain to replace hesitation with calm control. With time, the habit of fillers fades, and what remains is a confident, precise voice. Remember that this is a gradual process. Eliminating fillers is not about perfection, but about progress. Even the best speakers occasionally slip, but their strength lies in consistency. They rely on clarity more often than clutter, and that consistency builds trust. As you improve, others will notice. They will sense the authority in your words, the steadiness in your tone, and the confidence in your delivery. By committing to this discipline, you not only improve your communication skills, but also transform your presence in every interaction. You will speak less, but say more. You will project calmness even in high-pressure situations. You will replace nervous sounds with meaningful silence, and your words will carry the strength of intention. So decide today to free your speech from the grip of fillers. Train your ear to hear them. Train your mind to resist them, and train your voice to replace them with pauses of power. Every filler you eliminate is a step toward confidence. Every pause you embrace is a sign of strength, and every clear sentence you deliver without clutter is proof that you are capable of speaking with authority, purpose, and unshakable presence. Chapter 12. Adapt your tone to match every situation with ease. Your tone is the hidden key that determines whether your message connects or falls flat, and mastering it allows you to navigate any situation with confidence and influence. Tone is more than the sound of your voice. It's the emotional layer behind your words, the subtle signal that tells others whether to trust, respect, or resist what you are saying. When you learn to adapt your tone with ease, you gain the ability to command attention in a meeting, soothe tension in a disagreement, inspire in a presentation, and show warmth in a personal conversation. The words you choose are important, but how you say them often leaves the lasting impression. Think about how the same sentence can carry completely different meanings depending on tone. A simple "I understand" can express genuine empathy, quiet dismissal, or even irritation, all based on how it is spoken. This is why adapting tone is such a vital skill. It shapes how your message is received far more than the words alone. People are naturally sensitive to tone, often picking up on it more quickly than content. If your tone is misaligned with the situation, your message may be misunderstood. But when your tone matches the moment, your communication flows smoothly and powerfully. Tone adaptation begins with awareness. You must first recognize your default tone. Some people naturally speak in a direct, firm manner that works well in business, but can feel harsh in personal settings. Others have a gentle, soft-spoken tone that builds comfort, but can come across as uncertain in moments that require authority. By noticing your default, you can consciously adjust when circumstances demand something different. Self-awareness is the foundation of tone mastery, because without it, you risk delivering a message that feels out of place or ineffective. Once you are aware, the next step is observation. Pay attention to the energy of the environment you are entering. Is it tense, formal, relaxed, or celebratory? Each context calls for a different tonal approach. A negotiation might require calm firmness. A celebration might call for enthusiasm. A sensitive conversation might need warmth and patience. By reading the room before you speak, you ensure that your tone matches not just the content of your words, but also the emotional needs of the situation. Adaptability also comes from flexibility in vocal elements such as pitch, pace, and volume. A monotone delivery quickly loses attention, while an overly dramatic tone may feel insincere. To inspire confidence, vary your pitch naturally, slow down when making important points, and adjust volume to suit intimacy or projection. These subtle changes in tone signal emotional intelligence and create stronger engagement. A confident leader, for instance, knows when to speak with commanding force and when to lower their voice to draw people in closer. Tone is also deeply tied to respect. Matching your tone to the person you are speaking with demonstrates that you value their perspective and comfort level. For example, speaking with elders may require more deference and calmness, while addressing peers may allow for more casual energy. When speaking to children, your tone might soften to encourage trust, while in a professional setting, you might sharpen your tone to show competence. Respect through tone builds trust, and trust strengthens relationships. Another important aspect is authenticity. While it is vital to adapt tone, it should never feel like an act. People can sense when your tone does not align with your true intent. If you force cheerfulness in a serious moment, it feels disingenuous. If you act overly formal with close friends, it feels unnatural. Adaptation does not mean pretending, it means choosing the most effective way to express your genuine message. The goal is to remain true to yourself while adjusting the emotional delivery to suit the situation. Adapting tone is also a skill of influence. When you speak to inspire, your tone must carry conviction and enthusiasm. When you speak to calm someone, your tone must radiate steadiness and assurance. When you want to motivate, your tone must carry energy without aggression. Influence comes not just from logical arguments, but from emotional resonance, and tone is the bridge that creates that resonance. By shifting tone deliberately, you guide the emotional direction of conversations. Training this ability requires practice. Start by reading aloud and experimenting with different tonal approaches. Take a single sentence and say it as though you were comforting, commanding, celebrating, or questioning. Notice how the feeling changes. Practice conversations in front of a mirror or record yourself to evaluate the effect of your tone. The more you play with variety, the more comfortable you become with adjusting in real time. Eventually, it becomes instinctual to match tone to circumstance. Equally important is learning how to control tone under pressure. Stress often sharpens or flattens tone, leading to miscommunication. In arguments, people may raise their voice or add harshness unintentionally, escalating conflict. Developing calm self-control helps you maintain a balanced tone even in heated moments. Pausing before responding, breathing deeply, and focusing on the outcome you want can prevent your tone from betraying frustration. This level of mastery not only enhances communication, but also strengthens your personal presence in challenging situations. Tone can also elevate storytelling. When you share a story, the variation in your tone brings it to life. Excitement builds with a lifted voice, suspense grows with a hushed delivery, and seriousness settles in with a slower, deeper tone. Stories become memorable, not just because of the events you describe, but because of how you emotionally guide listeners through them. People remember the way you made them feel, and tone is the key that shapes that emotional memory. In leadership, tone sets the emotional climate of a group. If a leader speaks with positivity, the team feels uplifted. If they speak with harshness, morale drops. If they deliver instructions with calm clarity, people feel secure. This is why great leaders pay close attention not just to what they say, but to how they say. They understand that tone either amplifies or undermines their influence. By mastering tone adaptation, you gain the same ability to guide group energy in a productive direction. In personal relationships, tone carries even greater weight. Loved ones often react less to words and more to the tone used. A caring phrase delivered with irritation can spark conflict, while a difficult truth delivered with tenderness can strengthen trust. Relationships thrive when tone is used with sensitivity. By softening your tone during disagreements and brightening it during joyful moments, you communicate not just with words, but with emotion, showing those around you that you value the connection. As you develop this skill, remember that tone is dynamic. It is not fixed throughout a conversation, but shifts depending on the flow. A discussion might begin formally, move into a lighter exchange, and end with inspiration. Being able to adjust seamlessly ensures that you remain aligned with the moment. Rigidity in tone creates distance, while flexibility creates connection. Communication becomes smoother, more natural, and more impactful when tone adapts like water to its environment. Ultimately, tone mastery is about harmony, aligning your inner intent with your outward expression, and ensuring that the energy you project matches the needs of the moment. Every situation is unique, and every person you speak to requires a slightly different approach. By learning to adapt your tone with ease, you give yourself the power to be understood clearly, respected deeply, and remembered positively. The next time you enter a conversation, remind yourself that your words are only half the message. The other half lies in how you deliver them. Choose a tone that reflects both your authenticity and the needs of the situation. With awareness, practice, and intention, you can shift from sounding uncertain or mismatched to sounding exactly right for every moment. That is the art of adapting your tone. It turns ordinary communication into extraordinary connection, and it makes your presence felt long after the words themselves are forgotten. Chapter 13. Build patience to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting quickly. Patience is the mark of true strength, and in communication it becomes the difference between creating connection and creating conflict. When you build the ability to pause before you speak, you give yourself the power to choose your words wisely, to deliver your thoughts with clarity, and to show others that you respect their presence. Reacting quickly often comes from impulse, from ego, or from the desire to defend ourselves instantly, but that speed rarely serves us. In contrast, a patient response communicates calmness, wisdom, and maturity. It shows others that you are not ruled by emotion, but guided by intention. The truth is, communication is not just about expressing your point of view. It is about creating understanding, and understanding cannot happen if we rush, interrupt, or respond without considering the weight of our words. When someone speaks to you and you immediately cut in with your reaction, you may silence them before they finish. You may misinterpret what they meant, and you may damage trust. But when you wait, when you listen fully, and when you allow silence to have its space, your response becomes more thoughtful, and people feel heard. That single act of patience can transform how people see you, because you become someone who communicates with wisdom instead of haste. Building patience in communication begins with awareness of your impulses. Do you notice how quickly your mind forms a response while the other person is still speaking? Do you feel the urge to jump in and prove a point, to correct, or to defend yourself? These are natural instincts, but they are habits that weaken your ability to connect. To change them, you must train yourself to slow down. Count a breath after someone finishes speaking before you answer. Give yourself that small pause. That pause is where patience lives. That pause is where your better judgment can step in. Patience also requires letting go of the need to win every conversation. When we rush to respond, it is often because we want to prove ourselves right, to show our intelligence, or to avoid discomfort. But true communication is not a battle, it is an exchange. You do not need to rush to victory, you need to build understanding. The more patient you are, the more people will open up to you, because they sense that you value what they say, and when they open up, you learn more, you understand more, and you grow more. Another part of patience is learning to sit with silence. Many people feel uncomfortable when there is a pause in conversation, so they rush to fill the space. But silence is not your enemy. It is your ally. Silence gives weight to your words, allows others time to absorb what you said, and shows that you are not afraid of stillness. By embracing silence, you demonstrate confidence and composure. Great communicators often use pauses deliberately to create impact. They know that patience in timing can make their message stronger. In heated moments, patience becomes even more powerful. Arguments and disagreements often escalate because people react too quickly, letting frustration or anger take control. But if you can remain patient, if you can take a breath instead of snapping back, you diffuse the situation. Your calm tone, your composed words, and your willingness to listen disarm the tension. People are far more likely to respect someone who remains steady under pressure than someone who fires back impulsively. By showing patience in conflict, you not only protect relationships, but also establish yourself as a leader who can be trusted in difficult times. Practicing patience also strengthens your self-control. Every time you choose not to react instantly, you prove to yourself that you are in charge of your emotions. This builds confidence because you no longer feel controlled by impulses. You become intentional, deliberate, and clear-minded. That inner strength radiates outward, and others sense it immediately. They feel more comfortable speaking with you, knowing that you will not overreact or dismiss them. Your patience becomes a safe space where honest communication can thrive. To develop patience, train yourself daily with small habits. When someone speaks to you, make it your goal to fully hear them before forming a response. Focus entirely on their words instead of preparing your reply. If you feel the urge to interrupt, press your lips together and let the moment pass. If you feel frustration rising, take a breath and ask yourself what outcome you want before you speak. These small practices accumulate over time, strengthening your ability to remain calm and thoughtful in any situation. Patience also extends beyond listening. It shapes how you deliver your own message. When you rush your words, when you speak too quickly, people may struggle to understand you. But when you slow down, when you allow your sentences to breathe, your message gains strength. Your listeners feel that you are not just speaking at them, but communicating with them. By pacing yourself, you create space for connection. The beauty of patience is that it not only improves your communication, but also improves your relationships and your inner peace. When you stop reacting instantly, you experience less regret. You avoid the careless words that cannot be taken back. You protect your integrity by ensuring that what you say reflects your true self, not a fleeting emotion, and you inspire others to mirror your calmness. People often respond to the energy they receive, so when you respond with patience, you invite patience in return. Think about the people you admire most in life. Are they quick to snap, quick to argue, quick to lose control, or are they steady, composed, and thoughtful? True leaders are remembered for their ability to stay calm in storms, to wait for the right moment, and to respond with wisdom. By building patience in your communication, you step into that same strength. You elevate your presence, and people begin to look to you for guidance, not just because of what you say, but because of how you carry yourself. Patience is not weakness, it is power. It shows that you are not driven by ego, but by intention. It shows that you are not controlled by impulses, but by values. It shows that you are not merely reacting, but deliberately choosing. Every conversation you have is an opportunity to practice patience, to build stronger connections, and to leave a lasting impression. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes, until patience is no longer something you strive for, but simply a part of who you are. So, remind yourself daily, slow down, listen fully, pause before speaking, and let your words be thoughtful. Choose responses over reactions. Value understanding over speed. Respect silence as much as sound. In doing so, you transform not only how others hear you, but also how they feel about you. Communication becomes less about rushing to be heard, and more about creating true understanding, and that is the power of patience. It gives you control over your words, your relationships, and ultimately your life. Chapter 14. Practice feedback to grow your communication with real improvement. Growth in communication does not happen by accident. It happens when you seek out feedback with courage and use it as fuel for real progress. Many people believe they are already good at expressing themselves, but the truth is that blind spots exist for all of us. You might think your tone is warm while others find it sharp, or you may believe your explanations are clear while your listeners feel confused. Without feedback, these gaps remain invisible, and invisible gaps are the greatest barriers to improvement. If you want to speak like a leader and connect with impact, you must be willing to invite others to show you what you cannot see for yourself. Feedback is not criticism. It is a mirror. It reflects how your words, your tone, and your presence land on others. And the most powerful communicators in the world use this mirror consistently. They are not afraid of hearing where they fall short, because they understand that every piece of input is a stepping stone to mastery. The danger is in avoiding feedback out of pride or fear. When you shut yourself off from the perspective of others, you close the door to growth. But when you embrace it, even when it stings, you develop resilience, awareness, and a sharper ability to connect. Practicing feedback requires humility, because it means accepting that you are not perfect and never will be. But humility is not weakness, it is strength. It is the confidence to say, I can do better and I am willing to learn. When you open yourself to constructive input, people begin to respect you more, not less. They see that you care enough to refine your skills. They notice that you are not too proud to improve. This mindset separates those who remain average from those who rise to excellence. The most effective way to practice feedback is to actively request it. Do not wait for people to volunteer their opinions. Ask for them directly. After giving a presentation, ask a trusted colleague what parts were clear and what parts felt rushed. After a conversation, ask a friend if your tone came across as you intended. When you practice this consistently, you create a loop of constant improvement. Each time you speak, you learn something new. Each time you learn, you apply the lesson and grow stronger. Feedback also requires discernment. Not all feedback is equal, and not all of it is useful. Some people will give opinions based on personal preference rather than objective insight. Some will criticize from a place of negativity rather than genuine help. This is where your judgment matters. Accept the feedback that aligns with your goals and values, and filter out what is irrelevant or unhelpful. Growth does not mean you must obey every suggestion. It means you must listen, reflect, and choose wisely what to apply. The way you receive feedback is just as important as asking for it. If you become defensive, dismissive, or argumentative, people will stop offering their honest thoughts. But if you remain calm, open, and grateful, you build trust, and people will feel safe sharing their perspectives. Even when the words are hard to hear, thank the person for their input. Show them that their courage to speak honestly is appreciated. This openness not only benefits you but also encourages stronger relationships because people sense that you value their voice. Applying feedback is the true test of your commitment. It is not enough to listen and nod. You must put the lessons into practice. If someone points out that you speak too quickly, slow down the next time you share your thoughts. If someone tells you that your explanations are too complex, simplify your language and test the results. Improvement is not an idea. It is action. Feedback becomes valuable only when you turn it into change. The more you apply, the more noticeable your growth becomes. Feedback also teaches you resilience. Sometimes the truth is uncomfortable, and sometimes it can even hurt. But discomfort is the soil of growth. When you hear something about your communication that you did not expect, resist the urge to retreat. Instead, see it as an opportunity to strengthen yourself. Every uncomfortable truth is a chance to polish your skills and raise your standards. With time, you will even begin to welcome this discomfort, because you will recognize it as the sign that you are stepping into a higher level of mastery. To make feedback a consistent part of your life, create intentional habits, record yourself speaking, and review the playback with a critical eye. Share the recording with someone you trust, and ask for their perspective. After important conversations, reflect on how the other person responded and consider what you might improve. Keep a journal where you note the feedback you receive and the changes you apply. Over weeks and months, this record becomes evidence of your progress and a reminder that improvement is always possible. The greatest leaders in history did not rise to influence because they avoided feedback. They rose because they embraced it. They surrounded themselves with people who were unafraid to speak the truth, even when it was uncomfortable. They valued honesty over flattery, growth over ego, and progress over pride. You can do the same by choosing to see feedback not as judgment but as guidance. Every suggestion, every observation, every critique is a gift, one that can make your communication sharper, your presence stronger, and your leadership more impactful. There will be moments when you feel resistant, when you do not want to hear what others think. That is natural. But remind yourself in those moments that the very thing you resist may be the key to your next breakthrough. Do not let temporary discomfort rob you of lasting improvement. Welcome feedback as the tool that sharpens your voice and strengthens your connection to others. When you practice feedback consistently, you transform not only your communication but also your character. You become someone who is open, adaptable, and grounded. You learn to detach your self-worth from perfection and instead tie it to growth. People will notice the difference, not just in how you speak, but in how you carry yourself. They will see that you are always evolving, always refining, always striving for better. And that dedication will inspire them to listen to you more deeply, to trust you more fully, and to follow your lead more willingly. So commit to practicing feedback as a lifelong discipline. Ask for it bravely, receive it with grace, and apply it with determination. Each piece of input is another step forward, another chance to refine your skills, another opportunity to elevate your impact. In time, you will not only speak with confidence and strength, but also embody the humility and wisdom that define true leadership. Chapter 15. Strengthen persuasion skills to influence others with positive impact. Influence is not about forcing others to agree with you. It is about guiding them toward understanding and inspiring action through respect and clarity. Strengthening your persuasion skills allows you to communicate in a way that encourages cooperation, fosters trust, and produces positive outcomes for everyone involved. Persuasion is not manipulation, it is the ability to align your ideas with the needs and values of others while remaining authentic and ethical. When you master this skill, you do not just speak, you move people, motivate change, and create impact that lasts. The foundation of persuasion lies in credibility. People are far more likely to be influenced by someone they trust and respect. This means your words must be backed by integrity, honesty, and knowledge. You cannot hope to persuade effectively if your audience doubts your motives or questions your expertise. Building credibility requires consistency in your actions and speech. When you demonstrate reliability, competence, and fairness over time, your voice carries weight naturally. People listen closely because they know you speak with honesty and insight. Understanding your audience is another essential pillar of persuasion. You must pay attention to their desires, concerns, and perspectives. Persuasion is not about convincing someone to adopt your viewpoint blindly. It is about connecting your ideas to what matters most to them. Listen carefully to their priorities and frame your message in a way that resonates with those priorities. The more accurately you reflect their values, the more receptive they will be to your influence. Persuasion is strongest when it is a partnership, not a battle. Clarity in communication is critical for persuasion. If your ideas are confusing or scattered, your influence diminishes. People cannot follow or support what they do not understand. Organize your thoughts logically and present them in a way that flows naturally. Avoid unnecessary complexity and focus on the core points that will create alignment. When your message is clear, concise, and structured, others are more likely to embrace it and act on it. A persuasive speaker never leaves the audience guessing about the meaning or intent of their words. Emotional intelligence is a powerful tool in persuasion. People are influenced not only by facts, but also by how they feel. Understanding emotions, managing your own, and responding to the emotional state of others allows you to communicate with empathy and connection. When your audience feels understood and respected, they are more likely to listen and consider your perspective. Persuasion is amplified when it balances reason and feeling, creating a compelling combination that appeals to both logic and the heart. Confidence strengthens your persuasive impact. When you speak with certainty, people are more likely to trust your judgment. Hesitation and doubt weaken influence, even if your ideas are solid. Confidence is cultivated through preparation, practice, and mastery of your subject matter. When you know your content deeply and present it with steady composure, your conviction is evident. Others sense your confidence and are more inclined to align with your recommendations. Strong persuasion requires a voice that inspires assurance rather than uncertainty. Storytelling is a powerful vehicle for persuasion. Facts and logic alone can inform, but stories move people. Use real examples, personal experiences, or case studies to illustrate your points. A well-told story creates context, makes abstract ideas tangible, and engages the imagination. People remember stories far longer than isolated statements, and stories allow them to see themselves in the message you are delivering. Persuasion is more effective when ideas are anchored in relatable experiences that evoke both thought and emotion. Ethical persuasion requires integrity and respect for the autonomy of others. You are influencing, not coercing. Your goal is to help others see value in your perspective, not to override their judgment or manipulate them. Maintaining ethical standards builds trust and ensures that your influence is sustainable. When people feel respected, they are more willing to consider your ideas openly. Ethical persuasion ensures that your impact is positive, constructive, and aligned with long-term relationships rather than short-term gains. Active listening enhances your ability to persuade. By paying close attention to questions, concerns, and reactions, you can adjust your approach dynamically. Persuasion is a dialogue, not a monologue. Listening reveals barriers, uncovers motivations, and provides insight into the most effective way to present your message. The more you listen, the more accurately you can respond and tailor your communication for maximum influence. A persuasive speaker adapts in real time, demonstrating awareness and responsiveness that inspires confidence. Practice is essential for mastering persuasion. Study how skilled communicators present ideas, observe the strategies they use, and experiment with your own delivery. Role-playing conversations, rehearsing presentations, and seeking feedback helps refine your techniques. Each practice session improves your ability to articulate ideas clearly, address objections, and maintain composure under pressure. Persuasion is a skill that grows through repetition, reflection, and continuous refinement. Mastery comes to those willing to invest time and effort in deliberate improvement. Persuasive communication also benefits from preparation and structure. Anticipate objections and address them proactively. Present benefits and potential outcomes clearly. Organize your argument so that each point builds logically on the last. When your communication is structured and intentional, your audience can follow your reasoning with ease. Persuasion thrives when the message is coherent and compelling, and when the path from idea to action is clear and straightforward. Body language and vocal tone reinforce your persuasive impact. Gestures, posture, facial expressions, and vocal modulation convey confidence and sincerity. A calm and assertive tone underscores your message, while body language that aligns with your words signals authenticity. Discrepancies between words and nonverbal cues erode influence. Persuasion is not only about what you say, but also how you embody your message. Consistency between voice, body, and content amplifies your credibility and engagement. Building persuasive skills requires patience. Not every conversation will yield immediate results, and influence often unfolds over time. Consistently applying these principles, maintaining respect, and staying committed to clear and thoughtful communication cultivates long-term impact. People respond to persistent clarity and ethical guidance more than to pressure or fleeting tactics. Influence is strengthened by reliability, patience, and a steady approach that prioritizes understanding and positive outcomes. The true power of persuasion lies in connection. When you persuade ethically, you bring people together around shared goals and values. You inspire action that benefits everyone involved, not just yourself. Influence becomes a force for improvement, collaboration, and growth. When applied with skill and integrity, persuasion elevates your presence, strengthens relationships, and creates results that endure. Strengthening your persuasion skills is not about dominating conversations. It is about inspiring cooperation, fostering trust, and enabling meaningful decisions. When you communicate with clarity, empathy, confidence, and ethical intention, your words carry authority and impact. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to practice alignment, to influence thoughtfully, and to leave a positive impression. Over time, consistent effort in refining these skills turns persuasive communication into a natural expression of leadership and personal power. Commit to mastering persuasion by focusing on credibility, understanding, clarity, emotional intelligence, storytelling, active listening, and ethical influence. Apply what you learn deliberately, practice consistently, and refine continuously. Each conversation is a chance to strengthen your impact, connect authentically, and guide others toward constructive outcomes. The more intentional you are in your approach, the more you will inspire, motivate, and influence. With integrity, true persuasion empowers, uplifts, and transforms, and when practiced effectively, it becomes a cornerstone of leadership and meaningful communication. Chapter 16. Organize thoughts clearly before you begin to speak. Clarity begins in the mind before it ever reaches the mouth, and organizing your thoughts before you speak is the foundation of powerful communication. When your ideas are scattered or incomplete, no matter how confident your voice or strong your tone, your message will lose impact. People struggle to follow unclear statements, and opportunities to persuade, inspire, or lead can be wasted. Taking the time to structure your thoughts ensures that every word you say has purpose, every sentence flows logically, and every point lands with precision. Speaking without preparation is like building without a blueprint. The result may stand, but it will never stand strong. Organizing your thoughts starts with focus. Before you open your mouth, decide exactly what you want to convey. Identify the key message or outcome you want from the conversation. Ask yourself, what is the single idea I want the other person to understand or act upon? Keeping this central focus prevents your communication from wandering, avoids confusion, and allows you to maintain authority over the conversation. Every word that does not serve this central idea is unnecessary, and eliminating unnecessary information makes your message sharper and more persuasive. Once you know your central idea, break it down into clear points. Think of your message as a sequence of steps rather than a jumble of thoughts. Start with the context so your listener understands the background, then present your main points logically and conclude with a summary or call to action. This structure helps your audience follow your argument effortlessly, prevents misunderstandings, and ensures that your ideas are remembered. Logical organization creates confidence in both the speaker and the listener. Visualization is a useful tool for organizing thoughts. Imagine the conversation as a journey and your ideas as signposts along the way. Each point should lead naturally to the next, guiding your listener from the beginning to the end without confusion. When you mentally map the flow of your words, you gain clarity and control. You can anticipate potential questions, address concerns in advance, and avoid the chaos of improvisation. Visualization strengthens your mental preparation and gives you a roadmap to communicate with precision. Another strategy is to outline your key points briefly, even in casual conversations. You do not need to write full sentences, but noting the main ideas in order ensures that nothing critical is forgotten. This mental or physical checklist serves as a guide, keeping your words aligned with your objective. Experienced communicators often rehearse internally before speaking, mentally walking through their points to ensure that the conversation flows logically and naturally. This preparation dramatically reduces the chance of stumbling or losing focus. Simplifying complex ideas is also essential. A common obstacle in communication is overcomplicating thoughts or using unnecessary jargon. Organize your message so that it is accessible and clear. Use simple language, concise statements, and relatable examples. When ideas are organized and simplified, listeners can grasp them quickly and respond effectively. Clear communication is not about impressing with complexity, it is about ensuring understanding and connection. Pausing and breathing before you speak reinforces thought organization. Taking a moment to collect your ideas signals both to yourself and to your audience that you are intentional. Rushing into speech often leads to fragmented ideas, filler words, and confusion. By pausing, you give your mind the space to align your thoughts, ensuring that every sentence you speak has direction and meaning. Thoughtful pauses communicate confidence and control, and they provide the listener with time to absorb your message. Active listening before speaking supports clarity as well. When responding to someone, first absorb their words completely before formulating your response. This prevents assumptions, reduces misunderstandings, and allows you to organize your reply based on the actual conversation rather than imagined arguments. Thoughtful listening combined with organized thinking produces responses that are precise, relevant, and impactful. Conversations flow more smoothly, and respect is communicated through the care you take in forming your words. Memory and practice improve thought organization over time. Reflect on previous conversations and consider what worked and what did not. Notice points where your message became muddled or lost impact. Practice summarizing ideas clearly in a few sentences, gradually expanding into more detailed explanations. Repetition trains the mind to organize quickly and communicate effectively under pressure. Over time, mental clarity becomes habitual, and even spontaneous conversations benefit from structured thinking. Using examples and analogies strengthens organized communication. Illustrating points with concrete examples helps listeners understand abstract concepts. Analogies can bridge gaps in understanding and create vivid mental pictures, making your message memorable. When your ideas are structured with supporting examples, you demonstrate both clarity and authority. People are more likely to follow and trust someone who communicates in a coherent, well-supported manner. Organization also involves anticipating reactions and questions. Think about potential misunderstandings or objections and address them proactively. By structuring your response to cover likely concerns, you minimize interruptions, maintain control of the conversation, and increase the persuasive power of your words. Anticipating and addressing questions shows preparedness and mastery, which enhances credibility and influence. Written preparation can complement mental organization. Drafting emails, notes, or talking points in advance reinforces clarity of thought. The act of writing helps clarify priorities and ensures that the core message remains consistent. Even short notes for personal reflection before a conversation can prevent rambling and keep your communication precise. Preparation builds confidence and makes speaking with impact natural rather than forced. In challenging conversations, clarity becomes even more critical. When emotions run high or topics are sensitive, an organized mind ensures that your message remains calm and effective. Breaking complex or emotional topics into logical segments prevents miscommunication and maintains a constructive atmosphere. Organized thought in high-stakes situations conveys composure, intelligence, and control. Consistency is reinforced through repetition and summary. When presenting several points, repeat the core message at intervals and summarize at the end. This reinforces understanding and ensures that your audience retains the essential ideas. A well-structured summary highlights the clarity of your thoughts and leaves a lasting impression. Organization is not just about the initial flow of words. It is about creating a coherent experience from start to finish. Confidence and credibility emerge naturally when your thoughts are organized. Listeners sense when someone speaks with intention versus when someone is searching for words mid-conversation. Clear organization demonstrates preparation, respect for the audience, and mastery of the subject. It allows you to speak with authority without arrogance, and influence without force. Every sentence reinforces your presence as someone who communicates effectively. Finally, organization is a daily discipline. Even small conversations benefit from structured thinking. Practice summarizing your ideas mentally, rehearsing key points, and reflecting on how you present your thoughts. Over time, clarity becomes instinctive. The habit of organizing before speaking strengthens not just your communication, but your overall ability to think critically, respond wisely, and influence effectively. Organizing your thoughts before speaking transforms ordinary communication into impactful interaction. It ensures that your message is understood, respected, and remembered. By focusing on clarity, logical structure, anticipation, simplicity, and practice, every word you speak becomes a tool for connection, persuasion, and leadership. Intentional preparation empowers your voice, amplifies your influence, and leaves a lasting impression on those who hear you. Master this practice, and your words will always carry weight, precision, and authority. Chapter 17. Respect silence to create space for meaningful interaction. Silence is one of the most powerful tools in communication, and learning to respect it transforms conversations into moments of genuine connection. Many people fear silence, rushing to fill it with words, explanations, or reactions. But in truth, silence creates the space necessary for thought, reflection, and understanding. It allows both parties to absorb what has been said and to consider the depth of meaning behind each statement. Respecting silence signals confidence, presence, and emotional intelligence, showing others that you are fully engaged and not driven by the need to dominate or rush the conversation. The first step in respecting silence is becoming comfortable with your own presence. When you feel uneasy with pauses, your instinct may be to speak immediately, often before your thoughts are fully formed. Learning to pause deliberately cultivates self-control and mindfulness. Take a breath, notice the space around you, and allow the quiet to exist without anxiety. Your calm acceptance of silence communicates more than words ever could. It demonstrates confidence, patience, and attentiveness. People sense when someone is fully present, and silence is a way to convey that presence powerfully. Silence provides the listener with an opportunity to process your words. Many conversations fail not because of what was said, but because the information was delivered too quickly for the other person to digest. Pausing allows your audience to think, reflect, and engage with your ideas on a deeper level. This creates more meaningful interactions because your message is not merely heard, it is understood. By giving space, you elevate the quality of the dialogue, encouraging thoughtful responses rather than shallow reactions. In addition, silence encourages honesty and authenticity. When people are allowed the space to think, they are more likely to speak openly rather than react impulsively. This is especially valuable in sensitive conversations or negotiations. By resisting the urge to fill every pause, you invite others to reflect and contribute genuinely. Silence acts as a catalyst for deeper insight and strengthens trust, as people recognize that they are being heard rather than interrupted or rushed. Observing silence also enhances your ability to listen. Active listening is more than hearing words. It is understanding tone, emotion, and intent. When you embrace pauses, you have the mental and emotional space to notice subtle cues, body language, and nuances in the conversation. Listening with full attention allows you to respond appropriately, aligning your words with both the content and the emotional context of the discussion. Silence, therefore, is not emptiness. It is the stage upon which understanding grows. Strategic pauses strengthen your impact when speaking. Great communicators use silence deliberately to emphasize key points, to allow weighty ideas to settle, and to create anticipation. Pauses make your words resonate more deeply because the listener has the time to absorb them. When used intentionally, silence amplifies authority, clarity, and persuasion. People are naturally drawn to speakers who command attention not by filling every moment with noise, but by giving each word significance through measured timing. Silence also mitigates conflict. When emotions run high, people often speak impulsively, escalating tension unintentionally. Pausing before responding allows you to regulate your emotions, consider your words carefully, and respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. This approach de-escalates conflict and fosters constructive dialogue. Choosing silence over reaction demonstrates restraint and wisdom, which encourages others to mirror that calm and thoughtful behavior. Cultivating respect for silence requires practice. Start by noticing how quickly you tend to speak in conversations and deliberately extend pauses. Allow a few seconds after someone finishes speaking before replying. Observe the effect this has on the conversation, noting how people often offer more complete thoughts or pause to reflect themselves. Over time, you will notice that these small adjustments create more meaningful and balanced interactions. Silence also deepens personal reflection. When you pause during dialogue, you have the opportunity to consider not only your response, but also the larger context and implications of the conversation. This mindful reflection improves decision-making, strengthens emotional intelligence, and increases the depth of your contributions. People who respect silence bring wisdom and thoughtfulness to every interaction, enhancing both their influence and their relationships. Body language interacts with silence to reinforce your presence. Maintaining eye contact, an open posture, and attentive expressions during pauses communicates engagement without words. People feel valued when they sense that you are fully present and focused, even when no sound is exchanged. Silence, combined with intentional non-verbal cues, enhances connection, conveys respect, and builds trust in ways that rushed speech cannot achieve. Silence also enhances creativity and dialogue. By allowing pauses, you give the mind time to explore ideas, make connections, and generate solutions that may not arise under constant verbal pressure. Many innovative insights emerge not from continuous speech, but from thoughtful reflection during quiet moments. Respecting silence creates an environment where ideas can develop naturally and conversations become more productive and insightful. In group settings, silence encourages participation. People often hesitate to speak when the conversation is dominated by fast or constant talking. By leaving space, you invite contributions from others, demonstrating that their voices matter. This approach fosters collaboration, strengthens relationships, and creates a culture of inclusion where every perspective is valued. Silence, therefore, is a tool for leadership as well as communication. Silence in persuasion allows your words to have more influence. After presenting an idea or argument, pausing gives your audience the chance to consider it without distraction. The absence of immediate chatter allows your message to resonate and creates a natural opportunity for reflection and agreement. Strategic silence turns a simple statement into a moment of impact, amplifying the authority of your words without force or pressure. Embracing silence reduces stress in conversations. Continuous speaking can drain mental energy and increase anxiety, while intentional pauses provide mental space to organize thoughts and maintain composure. Both you and your listeners benefit from the calm, focused environment that silence creates. Conversations become less about rushing to fill time and more about genuine exchange and understanding. Ultimately, respecting silence is a sign of mastery in communication. It shows that you are not dependent on constant speaking to assert your presence, that you value quality over quantity, and that you understand the power of thoughtful interaction. Silence communicates confidence, intentionality, and mindfulness. It allows your words to carry more weight, your listening to deepen, and your influence to expand. Incorporate silence intentionally into every conversation. Allow time for reflection before responding. Pause to emphasize important points and create space for others to express themselves fully. Over time, these practices cultivate a style of communication that is measured, thoughtful, profoundly impactful. Respect for silence turns ordinary exchanges into meaningful connections, fosters trust, and elevates your ability to lead and influence effectively. Learning to respect silence is not merely a technique, it is a mindset. It requires valuing thoughtfulness over haste, presence over performance, and depth over volume. Those who master the art of silence discover that meaningful communication does not come from speaking more, it comes from listening deeply, reflecting carefully, and allowing words to arrive naturally and purposefully. Silence becomes not an absence, but a space where understanding, connection, and impact flourish. Chapter 18. Train consistency to make your communication strong and reliable. Consistency is the cornerstone of powerful communication, and training yourself to maintain it transforms your words into a reliable force that others can trust. Without consistency, even the most brilliant ideas can lose impact, because people respond not just to what you say, but to the predictability and dependability of your expression. Strong communicators are not defined solely by moments of brilliance. They are defined by their ability to deliver clear, focused, and intentional messages day after day. When your communication becomes consistent, it creates authority, builds credibility, and inspires confidence in every interaction. The first step to training consistency is creating daily habits of preparation. Every time you speak, you must clarify your key points, organize your thoughts, and anticipate questions or reactions. This preparation does not need to be exhaustive, but it must be deliberate. By consistently organizing your ideas before speaking, you establish a pattern of reliability where your audience knows your messages will be coherent, relevant, and impactful. Consistency begins in the mind and translates directly into how others perceive your communication. Practice reinforces consistency. Like any skill, communication improves through repetition. Speaking clearly, concisely, and intentionally every day strengthens your ability to do so naturally in high-stakes moments. Record conversations, review presentations, or practice with a mentor to identify patterns and improve. Over time, your words will carry a predictable clarity that signals competence and thoughtfulness. This disciplined repetition is what separates effective communicators from those who rely on occasional flashes of eloquence. Consistency also means maintaining alignment between words and actions. People are quick to detect discrepancies, and when your communication does not match your behavior, trust erodes. Reliable communicators ensure that their promises, tone, and follow-through align perfectly. Whether in meetings, casual conversations, or written communication, consistent alignment demonstrates integrity and strengthens your influence. Training yourself to match intention with delivery reinforces the perception of dependability. Developing a consistent tone and pace in speech contributes to reliability. Sudden shifts in energy, volume, or style can distract or confuse listeners. By practicing a steady and measured tone, you convey authority and calmness. Your audience learns to expect clarity and composure, which builds confidence in your message. Consistency in tone signals that your communication is not reactive or unpredictable, but thoughtful and deliberate. Consistency also requires regular reflection. After every conversation or presentation, evaluate what worked, what could improve, and whether your message landed as intended. Keeping a journal of insights allows you to track progress and refine habits over time. Reflection ensures that patterns of miscommunication are addressed and that strengths are reinforced. This disciplined approach cultivates awareness, which is essential for maintaining reliable communication under pressure. Active listening is a vital element of consistent communication. By consistently giving full attention to others, you create a pattern of engagement and respect. Responding thoughtfully to the input of others strengthens relationships and ensures that your messages are appropriate and effective. Training yourself to listen with the same intensity and clarity in every conversation reinforces your reputation as someone who is dependable, attentive, and trustworthy. Consistency also extends to non-verbal communication. Body language, facial expressions, gestures, and posture should reinforce your words in every interaction. Inconsistent or conflicting signals can undermine even the clearest messages. Training your body to align with your communication style ensures that every interaction projects confidence, credibility, and reliability. Nonverbal consistency builds trust and strengthens the impact of your spoken words. Another key to consistency is clarity in vocabulary and phrasing. Avoid switching between overly complex and overly simple language unpredictably. Develop a style of speaking that is clear, concise, and precise, and maintain it across different contexts. When your language is consistent, your audience understands you quickly, trusts your expertise, and engages more deeply. Precision and reliability in expression make your communication predictable in the best way, creating respect and influence. Consistency also means persistence in improving your skills. Strong communicators do not rely solely on innate talent. They work daily to refine their clarity, tone, empathy, and persuasive abilities. Training yourself to engage in incremental daily improvement establishes habits that compound over time. Each practice session strengthens consistency, making your communication more natural, reliable, and authoritative in every situation. Managing emotions is essential for consistency. Emotional swings, defensiveness, or impulsive reactions disrupt communication and erode trust. Training yourself to maintain composure, regulate tone, and respond thoughtfully under stress ensures that your communication remains dependable. Consistent emotional control reassures your audience, demonstrating that your message is stable and grounded regardless of circumstances. Consistency builds reputation. When people know that your communication is reliable, they listen attentively, take your guidance seriously, and value your input. Strong communicators become trusted sources of insight because their patterns of thought, speech, and action are dependable. Reputation for consistency amplifies influence because others can predict your behavior, trust your intentions, and anticipate clarity in every interaction. To maintain consistency, set clear standards for yourself. Decide what constitutes strong communication, whether it is clarity of thought, alignment of action, respectful tone, or logical organization. Hold yourself accountable to these standards in every interaction. Clear personal criteria. Create a baseline of excellence that ensures reliability and reinforces the perception of competence. Consistency also benefits collaboration. Teams and relationships thrive when communication is predictable, reliable, and structured. Colleagues, clients, and friends respond positively when they know that your contributions will be thoughtful, clear, and dependable. By training consistency in every interaction, you strengthen not only your personal influence, but also the cohesion and effectiveness of groups you are part of. Timing and pacing contribute to consistent delivery. Speaking too quickly, hesitating excessively, or fluctuating in rhythm can confuse listeners. Training your voice, speech rate, and timing ensures that your communication remains steady and reliable. Predictable pacing helps listeners absorb your message, follow arguments logically, and respond appropriately. Consistent timing creates a rhythm that enhances clarity, persuasion, and authority. Consistency is reinforced through preparation under varying conditions. Practice communicating in different environments, with different audiences, and on multiple topics. This expands your ability to maintain clarity, composure, and structure regardless of external circumstances. Training yourself to remain consistent across situations ensures that your communication is strong, dependable, and resilient. Even small daily interactions are opportunities to reinforce consistency. Greetings, casual conversations, emails, and short presentations all contribute to your reputation. Treat every communication as practice in clarity, reliability, and authority. Over time, these repeated small efforts compound, producing a natural and ingrained pattern of effective communication that others can count on. Ultimately, consistent communication establishes trust, credibility, and influence. It transforms words from fleeting statements into reliable tools that convey authority, build relationships, and create impact. Training yourself to be deliberate, reflective, emotionally grounded, and disciplined in every interaction makes your communication strong, steady, and respected. Consistency turns skill into habit, presence into authority, and ideas into action. Commit to daily practice, reflection, preparation, and intentional delivery. Train every conversation as an opportunity to reinforce clarity, alignment, and trustworthiness. Over time, your communication will become not only powerful but also unwavering, reliable, and capable of leaving a lasting positive impression in every interaction. Chapter 19. Record practice sessions to evaluate and refine your skills. Recording your practice sessions is one of the most effective ways to transform communication skills from ordinary to exceptional and to gain a clear perspective on your strengths and areas for improvement. Many people believe they know how they sound or come across to others, but perception from the inside is often incomplete or inaccurate. By capturing your speech, tone, body language, and pacing on audio or video, you step outside yourself and observe your performance objectively. This allows you to identify patterns, notice habits that weaken your impact, and refine your delivery in ways that cannot be achieved through memory alone. The first step is to approach recording with purpose and focus. Decide what aspect of your communication you want to evaluate, whether it's clarity, tone, storytelling, pacing, confidence, or nonverbal cues. Setting clear objectives ensures that your practice session is productive and directed. Each recording should have an intentional goal rather than being a casual trial, because purpose-driven evaluation produces actionable insights. Once recorded, reviewing your performance objectively is critical. Watch or listen to your session with attention to both content and delivery. Notice the way you structure sentences, emphasize key points, and transition between ideas. Pay attention to your pacing, pauses, and rhythm. Evaluate your energy level and whether your enthusiasm aligns with your message. Observing these elements provides an honest appraisal of what works and what needs improvement. Recording allows you to detect habits that may be invisible in the moment. Filler words, nervous gestures, inconsistent volume, or rushed speech often go unnoticed during live practice. By reviewing recordings, you can pinpoint these tendencies and develop strategies to correct them. Small adjustments, when made consistently over time, compound into noticeable improvements in clarity, confidence, and authority. Repetition and review are essential components of this process. Record yourself multiple times on the same topic and compare sessions. Observe whether progress occurs, whether delivery becomes smoother, and whether confidence grows naturally. This iterative process transforms communication into a skill refined through observation, reflection, and disciplined practice. Over time, patterns of improvement become evident, guiding your continued growth. Using recordings to analyze body language is equally important. Nonverbal cues, facial expressions, gestures, posture, and eye contact are as significant as spoken words. Recordings reveal inconsistencies, unconscious habits, and areas where body language may contradict verbal communication. Observing and correcting these elements strengthens overall presence and credibility, ensuring that every aspect of your communication aligns with your intended message. Listening critically is key to refining tone and vocal quality. Recordings allow you to hear your voice from the perspective of an audience. You can assess whether your tone is engaging, whether emphasis falls on the correct words, and whether inflection supports the intended meaning. Evaluating vocal dynamics helps you project confidence, clarity, and authority while avoiding monotony or overemphasis. The ability to hear yourself objectively accelerates vocal development far beyond self-perception alone. Feedback from others enhances the value of recordings. Share your sessions with trusted peers, mentors, or coaches who can offer constructive criticism. External perspectives often highlight areas that remain invisible to you, providing insights that guide refinement. When combined with self-analysis, external feedback creates a comprehensive understanding of your strengths and weaknesses, giving you a roadmap for deliberate improvement. Recording practice also strengthens memory and articulation. Watching or listening to yourself repeatedly helps embed correct phrasing, transitions, and timing in your mind. Over time, effective patterns become instinctive, reducing reliance on scripts or prompts during live interactions. This internalization allows you to communicate naturally and fluently, maintaining composure and clarity even in high-pressure situations. Another benefit is the ability to track progress over time. Keep a library of recordings from various practice sessions, presentations, or conversations. Comparing early recordings with later ones provides tangible evidence of improvement, reinforcing motivation and demonstrating the effectiveness of your efforts. Progress becomes visible, measurable, and encouraging, making consistent practice more rewarding and reinforcing the habit of self-evaluation. Recording also builds resilience and self-awareness. Listening to your mistakes or awkward moments can be uncomfortable, but embracing this feedback fosters humility and determination. Awareness of imperfections is the first step toward correcting them. Facing your performance honestly rather than avoiding critique strengthens both character and communication skills, turning vulnerability into growth. Practicing with recordings enables experimentation. You can try different tones, pacing, sentence structures, or body language techniques and assess the effect objectively. Testing approaches in a low-pressure setting allows you to innovate and refine your style without risk. Experimentation encourages creativity and flexibility while maintaining focus on clarity and effectiveness. Consistency in recording practice is essential. Just as communication skills improve with regular use, self-evaluation becomes more effective when it is habitual. Establish a routine of recording sessions daily or weekly, focusing on specific skills or challenges each time. Gradual, continuous assessment ensures that improvements are not temporary, but embedded into your communication style permanently. Silence and pauses can also be evaluated through recordings. Many people fail to use strategic pauses effectively, either rushing through words or creating awkward gaps. Listening to playback helps you notice timing and rhythm, and you can experiment with intentional pauses to enhance clarity and emphasis. Properly placed silence strengthens authority, allows the audience to absorb ideas, and increases the impact of every statement. Using recordings to refine storytelling and emotional delivery is invaluable. Capturing the flow of narratives, the timing of climaxes, and the pacing of suspense helps identify where engagement can be increased. Observing emotional expression, whether enthusiasm, empathy, or seriousness, ensures that your stories resonate deeply and authentically with your audience. Recording also sharpens precision and brevity. Listening to playback highlights moments where explanations are overly long, repetitive, or unfocused. You can edit your message, practice concise expression, and ensure that every word contributes to clarity and impact. Over time, this cultivates efficiency in communication, allowing you to convey ideas persuasively without unnecessary filler or distraction. Finally, recording practice instills discipline and accountability. The act of capturing your performance forces intentionality in every session. You cannot rely on vague impressions or fleeting memory. You must confront the reality of your skills and address weaknesses systematically. This discipline creates a strong foundation for consistent, confident, and effective communication in any context. Recording practice sessions transforms communication from guesswork into a disciplined, observable, and measurable skill. By evaluating every nuance of delivery, structure, tone, and body language, you gain insights that guide refinement and improvement. Regular recording, critical review, experimentation, and reflection build mastery, ensuring that every word, pause, and gesture contributes to a compelling, credible, and impactful presence. Over time, this practice elevates communication from ordinary to extraordinary, creating a foundation for leadership, influence, and lasting personal growth. Chapter 20. Lead conversations by guiding others with clarity and respect. Leading a conversation with clarity and respect is one of the most powerful skills you can develop because it transforms dialogue from mere exchange into meaningful connection and influence. True leadership in communication is not about dominating the discussion or forcing others to accept your ideas. It is about guiding the interaction so that every participant feels heard, valued, and engaged, while steering the conversation toward purpose and understanding. Mastering this skill elevates your presence, builds trust, and ensures that your words create impact rather than confusion. The first step to leading conversations effectively is developing awareness of your own objectives. Before entering any discussion, clarify what you hope to achieve, what outcomes matter most, and how you can support understanding without imposing your agenda. This preparation gives you direction and allows you to guide the flow naturally, responding to opportunities and challenges without losing focus. Clarity about your own intentions ensures that every word serves a purpose and every gesture reinforces engagement. Listening actively is essential for leading with respect. Leadership in conversation is grounded in understanding the perspectives of others, not merely expressing your own thoughts. Give full attention to what is said, including tone, body language, and emotion, and respond with acknowledgement and empathy. When people feel genuinely heard, they are more likely to participate openly, share honestly, and trust your guidance. Respectful listening establishes credibility and creates a foundation for influence that is collaborative rather than coercive. As you guide a conversation, clarity in your communication is paramount. Organize your points logically, speak with intention, and avoid ambiguity. People respond to structure and direction, and presenting ideas clearly allows them to follow your guidance without confusion. Use simple, precise language, and ensure that each statement builds on the previous one. Leading conversations with clarity transforms interactions into pathways of understanding, reducing misunderstandings and fostering mutual respect. Maintaining composure strengthens leadership in dialogue. When discussions become tense or emotionally charged, your ability to remain calm and measured signals control and authority. Respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively, and use pauses strategically to provide space for reflection. Emotional stability demonstrates that you are grounded, attentive, and capable of guiding the conversation without letting external pressures derail your focus. Calm leadership inspires confidence and encourages others to follow your lead willingly. Guiding conversations requires skillful questioning. Ask questions that provoke thought, clarify understanding, and invite participation. Open-ended inquiries encourage dialogue and show that you value the input of others. Thoughtful questions allow you to steer the discussion toward meaningful insights while respecting the perspectives of participants. Strategic questioning balances influence with empathy, ensuring that the conversation remains collaborative rather than directive. Nonverbal communication plays a vital role in leading with clarity and respect. Your posture, eye contact, gestures, and facial expressions must align with your words to reinforce authority and engagement. Confident body language signals presence, while gestures that invite participation demonstrate openness. Observing others' nonverbal cues allows you to adjust your approach, respond appropriately, and maintain harmony in the conversation. Alignment of verbal and nonverbal communication ensures that your leadership is both clear and credible. Establishing boundaries is another key aspect of guiding conversations. Respectful leadership involves knowing when to redirect discussion, when to pause, and when to encourage reflection. Setting these boundaries thoughtfully prevents digression, maintains focus, and ensures that all voices are considered without chaos. Clear, consistent boundaries signal that you value both structure and the contributions of others, creating an environment of trust and mutual respect. Leading conversations also requires adaptability. Every participant brings unique perspectives, communication styles, and energy levels. Recognize these differences and adjust your approach to ensure clarity and engagement for everyone involved. Adaptability allows you to maintain direction while accommodating diverse voices, balancing authority with inclusivity. Skilled conversational leaders are flexible without losing focus, guiding discussions toward outcomes that are productive and respectful. Reinforcing key points throughout a conversation strengthens understanding and alignment. Summarize, rephrase, and highlight critical ideas to ensure that everyone is on the same page. This practice prevents confusion, emphasizes important messages, and provides opportunities for clarification. By consistently guiding the flow of information, you maintain control over the discussion while respecting the pace and needs of your audience. Encouraging participation enhances leadership. A conversation is only truly effective when all participants feel empowered to contribute. Invite perspectives, acknowledge insights, and integrate ideas into the discussion. Leading with respect means recognizing that influence grows when others feel valued and involved. Active inclusion fosters engagement, strengthens relationships, and demonstrates that your leadership is collaborative rather than authoritative. Timing and pacing are critical when leading discussions. Deliver information in manageable segments, pause to allow absorption, and adjust the rhythm based on engagement. Rushed speech can overwhelm, while excessively slow pacing may lose interest. Thoughtful control over timing ensures that your message lands effectively and that participants have space to process and respond. Mastering pacing demonstrates awareness and consideration, reinforcing your role as a competent leader in communication. Managing disagreements respectfully is an essential skill for conversational leadership. Conflict is inevitable, but how you handle it defines your influence. Acknowledge differing opinions, validate feelings, and guide the conversation toward constructive resolution. Avoid dismissing or overpowering others. Instead, provide clarity, reframe points, and facilitate mutual understanding. Handling tension with composure and respect strengthens credibility and demonstrates the maturity of your leadership. Storytelling is a powerful tool for guiding conversations. Share experiences, examples, and analogies that illustrate key points and make complex ideas accessible. Stories engage participants emotionally and intellectually, providing memorable lessons that reinforce the direction of the discussion. Well-crafted narratives build connection, inspire action, and serve as reference points that participants can recall long after the conversation ends. Consistency in tone, energy, and message reinforces leadership. Sudden shifts or contradictions can confuse or undermine authority. Maintain steady energy, express confidence, and align every statement with your intended outcome. Predictable reliability in delivery assures participants that the conversation is purposeful and that your guidance can be trusted. Consistency fosters clarity, builds respect, and strengthens influence over time. Leading with humility is equally important. Authority does not mean arrogance. Acknowledging when you do not know an answer, being open to alternative ideas, and showing genuine interest in others' insights earns trust and encourages collaboration. Humble leadership fosters respect and creates an environment where dialogue thrives without intimidation. People respond positively to leaders who balance confidence with openness. Follow-up and reinforcement extend the impact of your leadership. Summarize key takeaways, clarify next steps, and ensure understanding before concluding. This reinforces clarity, prevents miscommunication, and demonstrates accountability. Effective leaders make their guidance actionable and accessible, leaving participants with confidence and direction. Reflecting on each conversation improves future performance. Review your approach, consider what guided discussions successfully, and identify areas for refinement. Continuous self-assessment ensures growth, sharper clarity, and stronger influence in every interaction. Reflection turns each conversation into a learning opportunity, strengthening your ability to lead with precision and respect. Leading conversations is ultimately about creating a space where clarity, purpose, and respect coexist. It requires awareness, preparation, active listening, adaptability, strategic questioning, and disciplined presence. When executed consistently, it transforms ordinary exchanges into meaningful dialogue, fosters trust, and establishes authority that is rooted in empathy and understanding. Skilled conversational leadership empowers both you and those you engage with, creating interactions that are productive, respectful, and impactful. Mastering the art of leading conversations ensures that your voice is not only heard, but trusted. Your ideas are followed without coercion, and every interaction becomes an opportunity to influence positively. Guiding others with clarity and respect cultivates authority, strengthens relationships, and leaves a lasting impression. Each conversation becomes a stage for meaningful connection, deliberate guidance, and thoughtful leadership, turning everyday dialogue into a practice of influence and personal growth.